So this is the first TGDA Digital Showcase. And of course, we're doing this because of COVID restrictions. We don't get to do our... No, stay on, Matt. I was going to introduce you. We don't get to do this, the DevCon, as we normally do every year for PAX. So this was the next best thing that we could think of. And yeah, I guess we hope everyone enjoys it. It might become an annual thing. We don't know. Obviously, there's people that can't make it to PAX every year, so they don't get the same opportunities that everyone else does when we come to PAX. So first off, my name's Alex Wynnter. I help run the TGDA, and I have a fabulous co-host, Jill, here.
Hi, I'm Jill.
You want to say where you're from?
I have social media stuff for the Motley Geek, and I have a website where I sort of review a couple of things. But that one got hacked, and so I had to change it to a different name. So I'll release the name of it. Yes, it did. Oh. So I had to change the name of the website to something else, which I'm pretty happy with. I think it's better. So I'll just see about rolling that out at some point.
Okay. Well, that's unfortunate. It sucks being hacked. And I begged Jill to come and co-host with me, and of course she, after several bribes, agreed. And we have.
When am I getting these bribes, Alex?
They're in the post.
Okay.
They're in the post. It's just delayed. And of course, Matthew, also from TGDA Admin, is helping run the show behind the scenes. That's why you guys, when you log in, just tell Matthew you're here, and we will get that running. So first up, we have Ralph. Ralph is from Ardent Roleplay, and I have seen this stuff at PAX before, but Ralph, you can probably explain it 10 times better than I can. Take it away.
Thanks, Alex. Oh, of course, lose the voice just there. Thanks, Alex. Great to be here. Thanks, Jill. Thanks, Matthew, for running on it. So, yes, we have a product called Ardent Roleplay. It's a mixed reality product, I guess. We've got some physical cards that you use, and then you have a mobile app and a desktop app. We'll talk about that later. But the mobile app effectively is there for when you're playing tabletop role-playing games like D&D or Pathfinder, or a myriad of other ones, Relics, or any of the great Aussie ones as well. And what it effectively does, it gives a window onto the table. If I switch cameras for a second, so if you've got your phone on a little tripod like we have here, coming to you live, you've got the app, and we've got these little cards, and you've got these cards. And when you place the cards down, augmented reality models arise and show up. And the really cool thing about it is that you've got these phones on tripods. Everybody's kind of looking at the table, but everybody sees what their character would see. So, if you're playing a wizard, you can see the magical auras around things. If you're playing a rogue, you can see the traps, because you're trained to see traps, and to you they're, blatantly obvious, as if they're painted pink. Nobody else notices them because literally they're not there for them. They don't even show up. And there's a myriad of other features, way more than we can even talk about in 10 minutes. But effectively, it's a storytelling tool, and it allows much more intrigue and immersion and engagement. And it brings this, sort of 3D on the table miniatures experience to anybody who's playing remotely, because you can be anywhere in the world. And as the games master or dungeon master, I can turn models on and off, switch between different states, have sort of the, I'll just do it from here for now, have the dramatic death animation.
It is dramatic.
It is dramatic. Oh,
I like that one. We just fell over.
Yeah, and play that anywhere in the world. So that's effectively Ardent Roleplay, and we're also really interested with board game designers and other designers to look at how we enhance other types of games, not just tabletop role-playing games, with AR. And AR is the kind of shiny bit, but the cool thing is about all the kind of secret sharing and avoid metagaming and message passing and all the other kind of cool stuff that you get once you've got this sort of window.
This is amazing tech. So, can we get a close-up of those cards as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll hold on up here. So we have an absolutely incredible, there we go, visual artist, Lauren. She's our illustrator. We've had a few other people work on them, but most of the work is done by Lauren. And in fact, if you like these cards and you like this kind of stuff, if you check out our Twitch stream, Lauren's been doing some live streams of making some of those cards for our Cthulhu themed deck. We have a license with Chaosium for Call of Cthulhu. So she's been live streaming, making some cards this week as well. And I think we've got another stream of that coming up, I think.
I did see some of your Call of Cthulhu cards, and they look amazing. It's
great artwork.
Yeah, really great artwork. I was wondering, what is it that's behind that? Is that like a QR code somewhere in the background of these cards that helps it do the VR stuff?
Or is it just looking at these drawings?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's just the drawings.
It's really just the drawings. So we went through a whole bunch of different iterations of what to use as a marker for the AR. And we really want to use a marker because it gives you something on the table. You know, you don't have to constantly be looking through the phone. It gives sort of a focus, and it lets you move things around, and it gives it makes it more tactile in that way.
Yeah.
You know, because it's a digital model. So we looked at a whole range of different things. Some really brilliant ideas that just didn't really work as well as I'd hoped, as is usually the case.
Yeah.
And when you make augmented reality markers, it needs to have lots of nice features for it to identify, you know, lots of little corners and lines and things. And one of the things that sort of cropped up was looking at early tarot card design, particularly the sort of Rider-Waite deck and Rider-Waite. It's a third person. Never mind. It just escapes me. It's terrible. And that's where we then kind of based it on, because the idea really actually was that you know, you could be in a tavern, you know, in game, and somebody's kind of pulling one of these cards up, you know, or playing with these cards, and it just matches thematically. You know, I didn't want to have like a QR code or something sort of technical looking on the table. We want something on the table that doesn't break the immersion. It doesn't snap you out of the game. So, you know, that's really what we focused on.
Something like that card. Sorry.
You go.
So something like that card you just showed us, would that be able to show an environmental sort of AR?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can show different models. So we've got, there we had
the dramatic dragon.
The dramatic dragon, exactly. Let me just switch to the other camera again.
Also, I just love how this helps with secret sharing and message passing, etc. Because I always have that problem in my game group. I'm like, no, I know where the traps are. You don't know where the traps are, so you didn't avoid it.
Yeah. So that probably doesn't show up so much. So there's a, no, that doesn't really show. Let me pick.
That's what I was wondering about, how you keep secrets. Like, can you show two different campfires that like almost look the same, but one is different?
Yeah, exactly. So if you show that, so here's sort of a house model, and we have models that are smaller than normal mini scale for kind of what we call an approach view. It sets context. You know, your adventurers approach a place and they see a bigger scale. You can also pinch zoom because it's minis, but it's digital minis. So, oops, and you can tap a menu along the way because you're not looking at what you're doing. Oops, come back out. There we go. Tap the wrong thing anyway. But
tilted.
I'll switch back to me. Don't give demos where you're touching things off screen. It just doesn't work. But yeah, so basically there's a desktop app where you look through all the different models that we have, and we bring out new models every month. And you look at that model and go, that's cool, I want to use that for an encounter. And then with that model, there are different variations, things that you can turn on and off. Plus you can overlay extra text. So you can say, hey, this person sees some extra text that explains things. We've also got sort of prop cards, so prop models, like imagine a treasure map. And it's a card, you're passing it around, everybody looks at it and goes, yeah, treasure map. And then one person, when they look at it, they get some extra text that says, oh, you notice some merchant code, secret code on the side that you can read. Nobody else even noticed. And it explains how you've got to watch out. There's these really evil pirates in this area, and you think, oh, they're probably the ones that killed my parents many years ago. And oh, yes, plot lines starting to,
So is that because you've input your own character into your own app? So then if you were a rogue who could read thieves' language, then you could see all of those symbols.
Exactly.
Is that right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So
Very
I'm
cool.
not a big role player. So the idea is that like the GM, I guess, before a normal role-playing campaign would sort of work out maps and treasures and who knows what before that.
Yeah.
Essentially, instead of doing that in the old school way, they're programming these cards.
Yeah, exactly. They look through the models. So rather than, really old school is basically you just describing it, which is fine. The problem comes when we're playing and I say, hey, Alex, you rolled really well. You've discovered that there's a secret on the map. Oh, okay. Jill, you rolled really well. Right, you rolled really well. And you
I roll ones, guys.
Yeah, right, yeah.
No one does.
Matthew,
Okay.
you rolled really well. So somebody, and then I'm describing it. But at that point, you don't need to role play having heard that information because everybody around you also heard it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It becomes blackjack. It's you and the dealer just individually. You're not playing with each other anymore. But with this, I can show it to one of you. I can show somebody else something different. You don't know what the other people know. You don't even know whether they know anything different, or you don't even know whether you know anything different. But all that, starts to unfold in the storytelling, and then you start to role play properly, and you go back into actually, engaging.
That's amazing. All right, we have to move on, but where's the best place to find Ardent Roleplay?
ArdentRoleplay.com.
Excellent.
Or search for
Awesome
us on
talking
Facebook.
to you.
Thanks,
Thank
Ralph.
you. Thanks,
I look
Alex.
forward to
Thanks,
trying
Jill.
this out with my game group.
Fantastic.
Next up, we have David Logan. So he's got a game called Cyberstrife, which is free to play on Tabletopia. Tabletopia.com/games/Cyberstrife. And Ralph has put a link for Ardent Roleplay in the chat there. Before David gets on, I can just tell you what the game is about. Hey, organization. Cyberstrife is a 2 to 12 player card game. Okay, that's already interesting. Where players choose to discard and draw cards each turn as they attempt to build and adapt a super strong team strategy from over 4 million possible combinations. All right, this is already sounding impossible, so hopefully David is around to tell us about it. We're waiting on David.
Sorry, I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes, cool.
No, the video's still, you guys blocked the video earlier because I jumped in a little early.
Oh, we can turn that back on. I think he's trying to find you. There must be so many people on this. Oh, okay. Maybe I can.
Yeah, the host has stopped it. I think it was you when were you host originally or something? I don't know.
Yes, I was. Matt's saying it's not letting him, but Matt is the host, I believe. Oh, this is awkward.
Should I just reconnect? I didn't know what I was doing when I jumped in, so I was like, oh, I got to check all my stuff's working. And then someone just turned it off. All right, let me
That's
just
annoying because we got Ralph in.
Well, I'll grab the link and I'll leave and rejoin real quick, or no?
Oh, there. See, Marty can join in. Maybe you can turn it on and off.
No, it's sending me an error that says you cannot start your video because the host has stopped it.
I think leaving and coming back is probably going to be best.
Yep, I'll give it a go. Sorry, guys. I'll be right back.
Yeah. With IT, you turn it on and off again. That's all you do.
Well, we got to see Marty for a split second. That was fun. He's up next, so good to know you work. There we go.
There we go. Nice. Fix the system. All right. What am I doing here? Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, you basically covered most of it. Like, I was sort of sitting there going, okay, that's my spiel. But you're right. Like I wanted to do something different. Like I wanted to just break everything down to as small of a project as possible, but really stretch out what I can offer. And I was like, how do I get, how can I, offer 12 players? And I'm trying to get it down to 108 cards because a deck of poker is 54 cards. So when you're doing a manufacturing run, 54, if you're doing it in 54s, you're not losing any cards to wastage. So I wanted to do 108 cards, nothing else, no dice, no tokens, just a small little box that'll ship nice and easy, and it's cheap to make. And that was my goal. And then I was like, okay, so I can make a game that I can sell. I'm looking at kickstarting it for around 10 US on the launch day, and then it'll go up a little bit, probably around 12 or 14. But so I'm like, my marketing, I'm like, well, that's less than $1 US per player. I don't think I've never seen that. I'm not sure. So that was the trick. And then it was like, okay, well, how can I do this? How can I get a game where it's 2 to 12 players, and you've just got each player can have 6 cards in their hand, and it works in a circle in a sense that you're going to keep attacking in a clockwise direction. So if I'm sitting next to you, you're on my right, Jill's on my left, I'm going to be attacking Jill. Jill's going to be attacking you. You're going to be attacking me, which means that every turn I have to, at the start of the turn, it's all about discarding and then redrawing. So it's kind of like you want to...
You're trying to create an ideal hand?
Yeah, right, exactly. You're always refining your hand, looking for a strategy. And I'll switch over. So you're always trying to improve your hand a bit. This is the game in Tabletopia at the moment. I was messing around with it. I should have set something up. I was just looking at cards and things. But yeah, so you're always trying to, this would be your starting hand. You would start with 6 units and 2 traits. And the idea is to try and look at this hand and go, okay, what am I going to do against everyone else? What have I got? What's my strong suit here? After you play the game more, you start to learn what does what. So at the moment, I've got these 2 traits. These are, you put them on the table, they're always active. They're kind of like your global buffs. So I've got security drills, +1 for each garrison unit I have in battle. And Scorched Earth, I'm going to get +2 on my demolition units. And if I win all 3, if all 3 of my characters that I put down that turn win, then the player that I defeat will have to drop an additional card, which will wipe them out of the game faster. So in this situation, I would look at my hand and I'd go, okay, well, I've got a demolition, but I need 2 demolition to use that Scorched Earth. So I sort of think, I don't know, I could go that way, or I could go towards the garrison. Do I have any garrison units? I have 1 garrison unit as well. And he's going to buff my garrison units as well. So what I might do if this was a game that I was playing, I might go, all right, well, I'm going to play the garrison strategy this time. So that's going to be what I'm going to go for, those 2. So I'll bring them, you leave that on the table. So at the start of my discard phase, I would get rid of Scorched Earth. I would get rid of pretty much every other card that, this is why I beat a lot of my friends when I'm playing. I tend to just go ruthlessly and just throw everything out. And the reason is, if it's not my end game strategy, then I don't want it. So I'm like, well, is that part of my garrison build? No. Well, actually, Reaper's always really good. He's the best card in the game. But yeah, in this situation, probably not. So I would get rid of it all. And I'm going for broke a little bit. And then I would draw back what I just discarded. So giving me 5 more cards and an attempt to try and pick up another garrison unit, which I have successfully failed. I haven't got a single garrison unit. So that was actually a really bad move on my part. And the second trait that I picked up would be Shock and Awe your Tactical Helldiver and Demolition units gain a buff versus Garrison Psychic Cyborgs. So to get that one to be useful, I now need Tacticals, Helldivers, and Demolitions.
So how fast does this game play if you've got 12 players?
Well, this is the interesting thing. It's actually 1 active turn per every 2 players, because you're always attacking in a circle. You can actually, I can attack to my left, and the player on my right, he can't attack me because I'm busy. So the player on his right actually starts, every even player number will start their own active turn at the start of the game. So player 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12, they'll all start on turn 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they can all attack, and then you just can't attack. If the person you're trying to attack is on an active turn, if they say, no, I'm still attacking the next player, they have to wait. That's just the way it works. So you'll have, if in 12-player game, you'll have 6 simultaneous turns all operating around the table. Just everyone not shouting across the table, but talking to the people to their left and right, saying, because you've got to beat him. Once he steps out, he can maybe walk away from the table, and then you move closer to the rest of the, you close the group in, bring everyone in together. So in a sense, like it is, we do find, depending on new players or not, it's about 15 to 30 minutes per player. And then it sort of slows, at some point, if the group can keep it organized and not like have someone go off on a tangent, or have that one player who's just like always taking a 10-minute turn. And we have
we always got one of them.
Yeah, we've got one of those. It's great. So it's like, well, what's going on? What's the holdup? It's like, well, I can't attack him because he can't attack him. And who are we waiting on? Oh, it's Andrew. But yeah, I mean, I think like I've tried to come up with unique mechanics. Like it is sort of, I was always a big fan of Magic the Gathering. As you know, that's where we first met, 15 years ago back at the cave. We used to run the Magic the Gathering tournaments. And it's always been a big part of how I enjoy playing games, like just that sort of.
I feel this drafting element to it, like just trying to get the combo cards in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a bit of luck to it, as you see. I did just fizzle out, but I win most of the games we play, and I'm pretty confident at this point that it's not luck. It's actually your drafting strategy, how aggressive you are, what you're looking for. Like there's 32 traits in the game, and you can run 2. So you got to know what's out there, and you got to know what you want to find. I find it's generally easier to sort of to hold some traits and not really look for traits. I just try and look for one. I might pick one and then try and look for the other one that'll just work a little bit better. But really, I try and build a team around what traits I can get my hands on, because it's easier to find. There's 76 units, but there's duplicates of each unit. So there's only 38 units, I think it is. And which means if you get the same unit twice, you actually get a +3 bonus when you play that unit. You play the other one on top of it.
Yeah.
Sorry, David, a couple questions.
Yeah.
So you always attack the person to your left?
Correct. It's always clockwise game.
Yep.
But I mean, you still fight the guy on your right. That's just your defensive value. So each unit has an attack and a defense, and that's the base value. Plus, then all buffs are just added on top.
And is this an even numbers only game?
No, you can play 2 players, you can play 3 players, 5 players. It's just, there's only a simultaneous turn for every even numbered player. So if it's 3 players, you only have 1 simultaneous turn.
Right.
If it's 4 players, then you have 2. If it's 4 players and a player gets wiped out, the player who destroyed or lost their turn, like during that fight, that turn gets destroyed and doesn't get passed on. So as it drops down to even numbers, a simultaneous turn is removed from the game.
All right, just before we go, which website should we go to find this?
So you can go to cyberstrife.com at the moment. That'll take you to the Facebook, where you can get a notification when it launches. And you can also go to Tabletopia, and Cyberstrife is up there if you search for it.
Awesome.
And I'm also just running it out of the
your marketing
Facebook
campaign.
Yeah, go for it.
If it's $1 per friend, you need to have 12 friends.
Yeah, no, tell me about it. I have 12 friends. Who's got 12? I designed a game. I haven't even played 12 players yet. I know it works, 12 players. I don't have 12 friends during COVID.
I think that the game looks really cool. It's got some very different mechanics for a TCG, which I don't think that's what you're marketing it as, but that's what it reminds.
I like it to be pre-packaged. I like that it's just 108 cards, shuffle and play. No complex reading, no collecting all the packs and sets, because we've all got shoe boxes of cards from the Magic the Gathering days, and I didn't want to do that again. Like, our group broke because people just didn't want to do that anymore. It was like we'd spend 2 hours building decks.
No, I particularly like the discard and then draw back your hand. That's
definitely interesting, cool. And we'll have to check it out.
Yeah, and I'm definitely going for a cheap price, mass sales if I can. So everyone, check it out.
All right,
you want to get a better price?
Thanks, David.
All right, thanks, guys. See you.
Sorry, Cassie, I'm just going to get rid of your video, and then we can go to Marty.
Yo, and Kate.
Hi.
And Kate.
Hi, Marty and Kate.
How you doing?
Good. I can see my reflection in the background.
Oh, you can? Sorry. We were looking for a picture, and we're like, no, it looks better this way. Yeah.
What are you guys going to tell us about?
I love that. What was that?
What are you guys going to tell us about?
Go on, you go.
We are talking about our game, Pack of Crooks. It is a deck building, semi-cooperative heist game.
And many of us would have played this before at PAX. Like it's been to PAX several times. It's been all over the place,
Yeah.
but it's gone through some changes.
Huge changes. Yeah.
Yes.
So I think especially through the COVID times, for probably the last 6 months, what you have seen in the past, it still is the same at its core, but there is has been a lot of additions, but a lot of removals. Just kind of tweaking it to a point where it's feeling really good now, and I'm hoping we can get it out to the public in a digital format in the workshop on TTS in the next couple of months. That'd be really cool, and then people can kind of make up their own mind on how it plays and what they like and what they dislike, or there'd be none of those, of course.
Is there anything that you can show us today? So we got shiny
Absolutely,
pictures.
yeah. So I'm going to share our screen,
Yeah, go
if
for
you
it.
don't mind. We should be used to doing this, being that I've taught remotely for so long. Okay, can you see that? Is it all good? Is it there?
Yes.
Fantastic.
That looks amazing.
Cool. So, Kate, did you want to have a quick spiel? Do you want to?
Sure.
Yeah. Do you want
So,
to do that?
what you've got here is basically the whole game setup. So there's two components or two phases of the game. The first is the marketplace phase where characters, so each player takes on one of these characters. You might be the muscle or the liability or the mastermind, and you get a chance to buy some better tools from the black market. So you can see here, that's things like a vaporizer, some liquid nitrogen, a drill, things like that you might need on the heist. Once you have all of those cards, we go on a heist where we have to beat a series of security cards, which you can see on the top there. And it's essentially, like at its core, it's a maths game where if I need to get past a security camera that has a value of 5 and it's green, I need something like this video loop that has a value of 5 against green security. Where that gets a little bit complicated is that some of those cards might be a bit bigger. You might come across one that's a 40 and no one's going to have enough tools to beat that on their own. So all of the crooks need to work out how they're going to work together, and then how they're going to split all of their loot. So when I say it's semi-cooperative, it's you're going to have to work together to get through the heist, but ultimately you win by having the most money. So that's where you see players start to gang up on each other to try and outbid each other to take over the heist on their own and get the most money.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that because that was one of my favorite parts of the game, where you can sort of talk to one of your friends there and be like, oh, can you help me? And we'll sort of split the loot.
Yeah,
that aspect is obviously still there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and look, that was really important to us. That's the heart of the game, and I wouldn't want to ever make a change that would take away the fighting.
Yeah.
But something that we did sort of get some feedback on in testing was that sometimes people got sort of too into that, and it meant that the fighting went on for too long. So we've put a couple of things in place to put the pressure on and speed up those negotiations. One is we've got these bid tokens, which you can see here, and each player has 4 for each heist. And every time you want to go in on one of the security cards, you put in a bid. So I might say, all right, well, Marty, what do you say we go 10 in?
We'll go 10 in together
on the blue, just to make sure that we've really solidly beat it. And we'll both need to put one of our tokens on there to say that we've done that. And then other people can use a token to outbid us. But by having those tokens, it meant that we didn't end up going back and forth 50 times on one card.
Yeah, and that's really intuitive. Like I just remember playing Munchkin when I first started getting into board games, and everyone would just take forever to decide if they're helping you or backstabbing you or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, we never played Munchkin again. But you guys have fixed this by putting in these tokens that
That's
just
right. Yeah.
solidify your turns and just speed it up.
And the great thing is not only does the tokens allow you to bid, but there's also more dynamic to it now. We have a lot of cards that allow you to churn through your decks. It is really at its heart a deck builder now, where you are going through your deck over and over and over again, and then trying to get rid of cards that aren't so good, get the best cards that you can get. But, you know, sometimes there will be a point where you're stuck. So you can actually hand in a token of yours to the vault or wherever we put it, and then be able to discard cards and refresh them. So we're always looking at different ways to be able to keep that engagement and keep people in all the time. Because it adds spice. You know, the more people that can do stuff, the spicier it gets, and there's more people trying to get in, and there's more deals to be done. So it's really good.
One of our newest little tweaks, I suppose, is that any time that you're not involved in one of the cards, you get to draw a card. So it means that if someone is getting cut out, they have something that can kind of rubber band them a little bit, and make them a bit more powerful for other parts of the heist. We've also added this timer that you can see here.
I was going to say that.
So that if alarms are set off, so if you can't beat a specific bit of security, it will set off an alarm. Or if you use a loud card, so you can see that this drill has this red icon on it to show that it makes noise. And a lot of the tools do that. So if you make any noise or if you don't beat a card, that sets off alarms. They make everything a bit harder, but they also start this timer so that you then only have that 5 minutes to get through the rest of the job. And that's
interesting.
Completely changes the way people argue, because it suddenly becomes like, quick, I can do it. Yes, let's go next. And
and usually this vault is full of cash to get to. Just throw some cash in there. You know, that's usually full. So that's what you're going for also. There's cash on the way, but there's also, you know, that you negotiate for. But there's this kitty at the end that you all get as a team, which kind of brings that collaboration back together again, because you're not always on your own, and there might be alliances that go for only one card or two, but essentially you are a team, you are the pack of crooks. So you're trying to get there to the end.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Can you show us some of the artwork while Jill asks you a question?
Yeah, sure.
I was just going to say, I love that liquid nitrogen right there. It's not just
thank you. Yeah.
basic sort of crime game. You guys got some really interesting cards.
Let's see if I can bring out some cards here. So let's go. We'll give ourselves some cards. So here we go. How do I do this, Kate, on the Mac? Here we go.
I would love to add perfume spray liquid nitrogen to my prep bag.
Really? Yeah. And you can see that they all do some different things. So this one, the taser's always a fan favorite, where you could, well, maybe it's just my favorite. We could actually steal money off people. More body bags. We've got a tranquilizer over here. Oh, what's happening? There we go.
The artwork's fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, look, our artist is local in Sydney, and he's done an absolutely amazing job.
His name's Aiden Milo. If you want to look him up, he's done some really great work.
Yeah, look him up on Facebook. This is pretty much his style, his brand, and he's great at what he does.
Where can we find out more about Pack of Crooks?
Yeah, so if you just want to look us up at Pack of Crooks in Facebook, you'll find us there easily.
We're also on Instagram and Twitter and Board Game Geek and pretty much everywhere that we're allowed to be. So yeah.
Excellent.
I think the plan will be for us, at least, moving forward in like getting this in people's houses. We're hoping 2021 will be a Kickstarter. So stay tuned.
But we're doing lots of regular testing on TTS. So if anyone wants to come play with us, then
that'd be awesome. Hit us up, and we'd be more than happy to show you it.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks.
Oh, Jill. All right. Can't wait to show you this next game, because I fell in love with the artwork for it and I instantly backed it as soon as it came up. But Ben.
Hey, how are you, man?
Yes, we can.
Excellent.
Tell us about your game.
Yeah, I will a bit. Let me just share the screen. I'm going to actually take you through a bit of an adventure in the game. Can you see that all right?
Yes.
Cool. So this is Fairy Unicorn Mermaid Princess Kitten. It's exactly as it appears. It's a sort of kids-based family game. I was really lucky to work with an artist who's got a massive Instagram following and kind of specializes in this kawaii chibi style art. And I've been playing around with this game for quite a while, and actually had a couple of different artists I'd been trying out with the theme, and also took a couple of years in developing the theme. It originally, I was kind of got hung up on trying to come up with a game that was, you know, really original and could capture a kind of a gamery audience, but the theme never really matched it. And so I've been hacking away at this, and a lot of people, I guess, who come to the incubator with us in Melbourne might have played this at one time or another, in one format or another. Eventually, just last Christmas, I was with the family at Falls Creek, and then the kids were just playing Go Fish non-stop for like 3 or 4 days.
Yep.
And I thought, you know, why am I trying to reinvent the wheel here? Like, it's the theme is made for kids. Let's just go out and do something which is a little more familiar. So this is the pitch deck I actually took. It's been a busy couple of weeks. So this went out in Kickstarter 2 weeks ago. It funded, I started a US company so I could fund it in US dollars. We reached 13,000 and I think my target was 5,000. So it was all right. And I then went to Mojo Pitch last week, which is a big industry pitch event that usually happens. Usually got to travel to the UK, but COVID being what it is this year, we all managed to go and do it online. So I managed to pitch to Hasbro and Mattel and Cartamundi and USopoly, all these, you know, big names. So I've only ever done Kickstarters before, so this whole arena was really new to me. But this is a pitch deck I took, and this one got a laugh. So you're supposed to go in with the, you know, what is the game? It's X meets X. So you pick 2 games, you put them together, and it's like, you know, everyone wants to think the game is entirely original, but to really get their attention, you've got to come up with one of these statements that says it's you know, it's a combination of this and this, and this got a laugh. So it was actually a quote from someone on the Kickstarter, Go Fish meets Crack. So it was a good opener. So this is the art that we talked about. I didn't do any stretch goals in the campaign. Instead, I released new art. So we did 10 new pieces that happened as soon as we funded, which was the first day funding, so that was good. Yeah, I had the art pre-made anyway, but we released that over the 21 days of the campaign, 1 new piece every other day. So yeah, you can see, you know, it screams cuteness and kids and that style, but it's really come up well. She's done some amazing work with it. So playing's pretty simple. Draw cards and make sets. So there's a slight twist on the kind of limited Go Fish effort, where there's a few different ways you can get cards at the start of a turn. So typically Go Fish style, you can ask for a card. If someone else has got it, they've got to give it to you. You can just take one off the top of the draw pile. And there's always a trade pile, which is like the face-up pile. So you can place a princess from your hand down there and pick up cards to the value of that princess. So I probably should explain.
The art is really it's just too adorable.
I know, it's just gorgeous.
I need to hug that kitten.
Yeah. So the artist herself, Baduyan, Teresa Lee, she's got 300,000 Instagram followers, as I mentioned. So she mostly does enamel pins. So I included some enamel pins as part of the Kickstarter as well.
That was half the reason I backed it. I'm like, I can use these as presents.
Yeah. So we had a competition before I ran the Kickstarter to vote for an extra pin, and this Kitten princess won it. Surprisingly, pretty adorable little critter there. So the game is 2 types of cards. There's princess cards, which have got a crown and a number on them, and follower cards, which is anything that doesn't have a crown and a number. So you're trying to make sets. So basically you take a princess card out of your hand, and then you've just got to match the symbols from other cards within your hand. So in the case of our mermaid princess here, we need a shell and a star, and a crown is wild. So you can match any other symbol in your hand with that one.
The shell's a mermaid.
Sorry?
The shell's reference to a mermaid, and the star is reference to a fairy?
To a fairy, yep. And so we've got the bells for the kittens and the horseshoes, obviously, for the unicorns.
Yep.
And first to 12 points wins, although we've been playing it to a higher numbers. It depends on the amount of people you're playing. So it's a 2 to 6 player game, and the deck, as you'll see here, has got 138 cards. So this drew a little bit of criticism from, well, not criticism, but this was the only, the feedback from Mojo was generally positive. But the only thing I was saying is that's a lot of cards. So I think the feeling was that, you know, for retail, they probably wanted to cut it down to a 4-player game so they can put it out with, you know, less cards, like sub 100 cards. So that's what it's going to look like. I went through a few kind of selling points, called it a niche product instead of a niche product. They've got a couple of giggles as well. And then, yeah, just went through some of the points there and where it was at.
That's right. You're very good at the copywriting, and it pays to have good copywriting in any project.
Yeah, yep. So that was basically my my little adventure in pitching and putting that card game together. So you can still, it's in Pledge Manager at the moment, which you can get to via fump.com, Fairy Unicorn Mermaid Princess Kitten. .com. That'll take you to the Pledge Manager if it is something that looks like you might be able to gift, I guess. We're aiming for a Christmas delivery, but you know, with deliveries around being what they are at the moment, could be any time. But the manufacturer is predicting a first week of November delivery because it's a simple game. And it's just producing cards. We don't have a lot of stretch goals or variabilities. I think we should be able to make that.
Well, I think I'm going to have to jump on the Pledge Manager because I've recently put together a shelf of cat board games.
Oh, nice.
And so I need to complete it with all the cat board games I could possibly find everywhere.
This is where it works well. So I'm hoping someone's got a shelf with unicorn board games, fairy board games. It's going to be on that shelf.
No doubt I'll have a whole shelf of fairy board games. My daughters are like all up in that, which is why I thought these pins were going to be so amazing. And they're going to love the game when they know how to play games like this. Yeah. Well, it's not a hard one to pick up. And my girls, you know, who I made it for when they were 7 and 8 and are now 12 and 13 nearly. Or 11 and 13 nearly. They still play it and love it. So it's got some... Oh, good. You didn't take too long then to make it. It took a while. But yeah, it's great to have it finally out, and I'm really happy with the result. Awesome. What's that website again before you go? So fump.com. You can also go to summitdrivegames.com. So I've got all the pitch decks and videos and all the stuff that went through Mojo. There's information on there as well for The Barmaid's Tale, which is one of our Red Genie games, and also Crisis on the Calypso, which is our friend Ivan Neville's game, which is in an early prototype stage, which I kind of took over there as well to get some interest. So you can have a look there and see what I did at Mojo. If you're interested in, I guess, pitching to retail and what that's all about, you can probably pick up some pointers from there. Awesome. Thanks a lot, Ben.
Thanks,
Cheers,
Ben.
guys. Thanks for having me.
We did have Cassie just tell us that you can still late pledge through the Kickstarter as well, which is awesome. Thanks, Cassie. Hang on, you're muted. You got to turn that off. Always a surprise when that happens.
Yes, all about the community boosting in there. Very cute. I am part of the Half Monster Games team. Looks like my boss is not here, so it's just me. I am talking about Trust Me, I'm a Superhero, which is going to be our latest game launching on Kickstarter on Halloween week.
Is that related to the Trust Me, I'm a Doctor game?
It is the same company, similar play, but obviously with a few changes, so it's not just the same game reskinned. I have got it open on TTS, so I can share the screen.
Yeah, go for it.
Forgive me, I haven't done this before. So.
That's okay.
Saying "Trust Me, I'm a Superhero" just reminds me of that TV show that's out at the moment, Bad Boys.
The Boys?
The Boys, sorry. Yes,
yeah.
The Boys. Yes, because the superheroes are, well, you can't trust them.
It definitely seems to be a very popular theme at the moment. So, can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, so it's a pretty simple gameplay. You've got your super cards and your power cards. You've also got your call for help cards. This is all prototype art at the moment. Our in-house artist has been working on it, and it's amazing.
Good to know.
It's super inclusive. We've got all different genders, racial backgrounds, even some disability representation. It definitely does not punch down at all. And yeah, so I'll give you a couple of cards. So you've got a giant robot killer. My cat is stuck up a tree.
Oh, Jill, you're gonna have to add this game in now.
It's got cats in it.
He's got cats in it. Little guy might actually be starring in a video a bit later, so
Oh yeah.
we'll go there. So basically the idea is whoever watched a superhero movie last will be the citizen to start the game. They'll draw 3 cards, and then everybody else will get 5. What's that? That looks like 5. No, that's 4. Can't count. 5 of each other color. So I can't really see. No. I'll just switch. So how to do a demo as a single person. All right. So then they've got. I'm gesturing wildly here, and you're not really looking at me. They've got all of their powers to choose from. What's that? Oh, God. I was only just doing a demo on this too. So they'll choose their favorite super and their favorite power. So in this case, it's going to be a mech horse. This person is going to submit that as their superpower combo. And so this mech horse is going to rescue my cat from a tree, and that player would passionately describe why their superhero, the mech horse, is suitable to rescue my cat from a tree.
Yeah, I wouldn't believe that player whatsoever. The horse does not have thumbs. They are still going to fail. You
just don't know. Like, you get some really silly combos, and because the idea is you're actually putting your superpower cards out first, you don't know what's coming. So you're kind of like, oh, surprised. Yeah, so you're basically going to superpower out, everybody does that, then the citizen is going to be like, okay, here's the card. And then you reveal yours, and then you try and make it work, and it's really funny. Somebody had to like save my relationship breakup with super gas, and there were a few really silly jokes made there. So yeah, that's the one that's coming up really soon. Have I got enough time to show you the other one?
We should probably focus on one of them.
Okay.
Yeah. Show us some more of those combinations. I like that horse artwork. It's probably a stand-in thing, but I really like that horse drawing.
I don't know where that came from. I suspect that was a Jack PowerPoint special. He is a very big fan of PowerPoint. Okay.
Are you telling me he's drawing art in PowerPoint?
I don't know what he does, but it's I'm a Photoshop person myself.
So show us some more of these combinations. I mean, obviously this game is all about the humor, and we want to see some of the humor here. How about you actually have a turn? Why don't you justify one of these combinations for us that's going to stop this giant robot?
All right. Do I have it? All right, I'll put it back on. Sorry, there's just a freight train.
Okay.
Going past. Okay, so I've just set up another hand. So now I'm going to be playing green. Player green is going to submit.
Hang on, so those first 2 situations, were they dealt to individual players, or is it just you choose one of those situations to deal with?
Just one. So basically, say the caller draws 3, they pick their favorite.
Okay.
Once everybody's got their superpowers out, they will reveal that call.
So you don't know what the call to help is. You're just picking out a superhero first.
Yeah, and that's what makes it really, really funny, because you can't specially tailor it. But like, we just played a game and there were ghosts, and one of the people just so happened to have put down Ghost Squad, not knowing what it was going to be, and it was just so perfect.
Oh, perfect. All right, give us a turn. Give us a turn. Show us your ingenuity here.
All right. Just for the record, I'm not the creative one in this team.
It's okay. You've got a whole 2 minutes to do it.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to go, I'll put my, I'm just going to do it lazy so I've got the time. Interdimensional Cannon is going to be the submission from the green player. So the interdimensional cannon is going to be firing at the cat to scare it out of the tree. And that's how that particular superhero will deal with this problem. And then let's just see, we've got different color, purple.
Okay, I've changed my mind about the horse. I think the horse could probably fly up there. Looks like it's got wings, and just grab it around the neck with its teeth. They're vegetarian,
like a
right?
mother
So just
cat.
like a mother cat, and then bring the cat down.
Yeah, exactly. What am I trying to do here? Oh, purple. Okay. Purple player is going to be sudden. Oops.
Oh, sweat.
I don't know why, but it's just funny, you know. And sometimes you just get unlucky because I will always pick like whatever combo was hilarious, and that'll be it. And then sometimes I get a win, and sometimes I fail dismally, and then have to just sit there going like, I don't know why this superhero was relevant. So
That's fantastic.
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
How many cards is the whole thing?
Pardon?
How many cards is in the whole game?
At the moment, there's 72 in each superpower deck, and there's about 56 in the calls.
Yeah.
But on this Kickstarter, we're actually intending to do some expansions. So there'll be a silly superhero expansion and a sexy superhero expansion. And then there'll probably be some community call for help cards and pretty much anything else we can think for the community engagement.
Awesome. Where should we go for more info?
halfmonstergames.com. So I can type that in the chat.
Excellent.
And yeah, there's a landing page for this game. And yeah, eventually it may or may not already have a link. Okay, hang on a second. To the Kickstarter launch page. So
Perfect.
not used to this sort of.
That's okay. Don't worry. You know what? You don't even need Jack to come on. You did great by yourself.
That's all I can think about now. All I can think about now is sudden sweat, and I think that's just going to permeate every other conversation.
I am so happy to have permeated your life with that.
All right. Awesome. Thanks a lot, Cassie. We'll jump on to the next person.
Yeah. Have a great night, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cassie.
Next we have Paul. Challenging me on the last name here, Paul.
Yep. Stayer.
Saya?
Stayer.
Stayer. Oh,
Ignore the Z. Ignore the Z.
I was this close.
Yeah.
All right, Paul. The Odysseys. This sounds good already. I read the word mortals and destiny, and I'm already hooked. So give us a spiel.
So what I might do is I might share my screen. So basically, the Odysseys is based on the epic tale of the Odyssey. So I'm the blue player here. Each of these mortal players, which are these 4 players here, it goes from 3 to 5 players all up. They're all ship captains in the fleet going home from Troy to Ithaca. So you start off at Troy and you're trying to get to Ithaca. And they're following Odysseus, who's over here. And Odysseus will be fine. He'll get home. We don't have to worry about him. But the rest of us have to worry. So we want to get home. And we have a ship and a crew. So your ship starts up at seaworthy with a full crew, and then it can get worse and worse, and they can sink. And then maybe you lose some crew, and then you end up alone at sea on a sinking ship, and things are going really badly.
So we're the Expendables.
Everyone else is the Expendables. In the original story, none of the players make it home. So the main thing that we care about is surviving, for starters, but we then also have our own goals. We have our own values. So each player has a value, which is what will make them happy. And so ideally you want to survive, but also ideally you want to be happy. There are points where you might have to make a choice between the two, and the game makes no judgment about which one you care about more. You can choose that being happy is more important than survival.
Is this like an action selection thing? We choose which one we're doing?
Yeah, so we're going to, we have these action cards and we're going to play a card. So let's just say I play this card face down. And so we're dealing with the island Troy. And so everyone plays a face down card. Odysseys plays a face down card. And then Fate, who has a destiny laid out for us. So this is my destiny. Fate is going to offer me a card. And ideally, I wouldn't know what this card is. And Fate's destiny for me might be that I do very well, that I have a great ship, or that I have like lots of crew, or it might be that I'm dead. And I don't know which one it is. And all Fate cares about is that I reach my destiny. Which means that when Fate offers me a card to play instead of my card, I don't know if it's going to hurt me or help me. So I then have to decide, do I want to take this card or not? I can either accept it or reject it. If I reject it, I lose some willpower, which are these little tokens. And then once Fate has offered some cards and people have either accepted or rejected them, we then flip everything over to see what happens and decide what happens at Troy. And then as we go from island to island throughout this journey, and we get all the way through and we hopefully make it to Ithaca. So yeah, that's basically the game, I think.
The art is very expansive and.
Yeah. So I've got, I'm working with a friend of mine, Wynnter Peters. He's an amazing artist. And yeah, so these are like, there's a few that we've done some really great work on. Yeah. But yeah, the game is really centered around this question of, you don't know what your fate is. Not knowing what your fate is, do you really trust fate to be on your side?
I really like that this is about the expendable people, or in a Star Trek sort of reference, the red shirts, the ones that you can just die and kill off.
Yeah. I think one of my favorite things about this game is that Odysseys, who can't really be swayed by fate, just is going to do his own thing and often just screws you over royally. Like just something is going really well, and then you're like, oh no, but Odysseys did the wrong thing, and now we're all in bad shape. Yeah.
So when you were clicking and showing us how your ship was sinking and stuff, how would this work in a real game? Is these cards laid underneath each other?
Yeah, so this is 3 cards and they're labeled like so. So in a real game, all the labels are there. I find in the real game that's fine, but on tabletop online, people do not understand if you have all the labels there. So I've taken them off for the digital version. And you just slide them up and down, and it works really nicely. And then the back of the card is the thing that tells you what happens when you die, essentially. So
this is some serious programming you've done in TTS.
A little bit, yeah. I think mostly I needed to do things like, so Fate can see all of the destinies, but we can't. If I put a card down here, so importantly, when I put a card down here, Fate can see it, but no one else can.
Oh, wow.
So that means Fate has complete knowledge when they offer you cards. They have a lot of power in the game. Yeah. This
is impressive. We should hire you for doing some tabletop simulator programming.
Yeah, well, let me know, I suppose.
So the object of the game is to get from the left side to the right side.
Yeah, for the models, you want to survive and you want to fulfill your goal. So this model here cares about everyone else surviving. So they care about friends. Someone else here cares about having a lot of crew. This model here cares a lot about having a bunch of treasure. So it really depends on
help out the other players.
Yeah, so all the values are set up so that everyone can theoretically win if the values are lined up properly, but actually more likely some of them are going to conflict with each other.
So how do you win as Fate?
As Fate, literally it's just that they want each mortal to fulfill their destiny. So let me swap into Fate's role.
Wow, that's interesting.
So Fate wants me to die. Fate wants this this model to have lots of crew. Wants this model to have only one crew, to be alone, and this one to have no cards, very few cards. And so each game, Fate's going to have different destinies for different models, and they're going to have to figure out how do I get all of these models to the right place.
So is this an 8-player setup right here, or is this?
No, this is a 5-player.
5-player. So Fate is just one player.
Fate is on one side. Yeah, everyone faces Fate. Yeah.
And does Fate have to have all of their stuff come true in order to win?
I mean, it's very hard to get 4 if you're in a 5-player game.
Yeah.
I would kind of call it, like, I think if you get 2 or 3, you're doing pretty well. So yeah, it is kind of just this points thing of like, the more you get, the better it is. Yeah. And generally I find that when people start playing, they're more interested in like, oh, how can I screw around with the models and whether they think that I'm on their side or not, and that sort of thing, more than like they're trying to get the destinies, but they're also just having fun, like with a bit of a power trip essentially. Yeah. So like,
I just loved it when you turned over the die card.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things I'm really interested with this game is this idea of when fate is against you and everything is going bad, when do you like give up your values? When do you give up the thing that's going to make you happy? When do you choose that that's not important? And how do you also react if everything's just really easy for you? Do you help your friends? Do you use that extra power to try and like to stop fate? Or do you use that extra power to like help yourself? And that sort of thing.
All right, just before we go, Paul, what's the ideal player count?
3 to 5 all works pretty well. I actually like 4 and 5 a little bit better. I think they tend
How
to
long
work
does it go for?
the best. 30 to 45 minutes.
This sounds awesome. I am in for a game of this at some point in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm going to hit you up for it. But where can we find out more information? Oh, you've got the website up there.
Odysseysgame.com. Yeah. I also have a Discord server where I do active dev there, and it's the best place to follow along the development.
This does sound very unique. I haven't seen some of these things before, so that's always very cool. So congrats on this.
Thanks. Yeah, figuring out how to explain it to people is going to be, that's going to be the big thing.
I would love to play as Fate one day.
Yeah, for sure.
Jill, we're both in. He said 3 to 5 players, sweet spot. Let's do it. All right, thanks a lot.
Thanks.
We'll finish up with you, and it looks like we're going on to Ben and Shay Bursma with Sungem Run. So let's see if they're coming up. They are. Beautiful. Hey, guys.
Hey.
Ben.
Hi.
G'day, Jill. G'day, Alex. How are you?
Oh, we're pretty good. She's better than me. She's not in Victoria.
Yeah, well, we're along with you, mate.
More time to design, right?
The rest of Australia is better than you guys.
Yeah, it's not hard right now.
Yeah.
But yes, lots of time for games, so we'll take the positives.
See, I kind of wish I was in that situation so I could stay home more. So whether or not I have the better situation is debatable.
It does not work like that. It doesn't work like that. You do get to stay home more, but it's not that easy.
No, it's not. Definitely not.
2 teachers.
2 kids.
2 kids.
Yeah.
It's juggling with chainsaws, man.
Sungem Run, this is all part of your Acolytes universe?
Yeah.
Awesome. Tell us about it.
So I've got a tabletop simulator here. We write to share screen.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So here we go. Here is the digital version of Sungem Run. Now, Sungem Run is basically a logical deduction game set in our Acolytes universe. So setting the scene, you can play 3 to 8 players, and each player is represented by a tribe. So we've got 13 different tribes available, and you're going to have that tribe known to you, but no one else. Your tribe is represented by a die. So if I was looking at the tribe that I've been dealt this character. You'll notice that all the tribes are represented by dice. So at the start of the game, whoops, I'm just going to end up rolling literally everything.
The whole board.
Let's flip the table.
Yeah, well.
That's the fun bit.
Save that for the end.
We should get everybody to flip the table at the end of the presentation. Yeah.
Like a boom. All right. So at the start of each run, you're going to roll those dice. Look at that beautiful symphony of
dancing
dice. And then they're going to be allocated to their numerical spaces. So all the 4's going 4, 5's going 5. The way you're going to win this game
I think I played this once. It would have been years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. We played it at We played it at a small games convention down in Beaconsfield.
Yeah, yeah. That's fun.
About 2014, 2015, I think. It was really, really long time ago.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, so we've evolved a bit since then, as our Oculites do. We sort of
Evolved.
stepped away for a bit, and we've come back to it now. And it's been a great way to get some of those extra tribes out as well that we hadn't been able to sort of share with everybody. So
yeah.
So yeah, once everything's rolled and everyone would have their tribe that they secretly know who they are. And basically what you're trying to do is keep yourself hidden, but figure out who the other tribes are, because you're basically trying to collect these Sungems for your tribe, but you don't want to leave yourself vulnerable by being found out, because then you're going to have someone come and steal your Sungems. So to stay hidden, but also collect your Sungems, you've got some options of actions you can take on your turn.
So all of these actions are going to give you information about the other tribes, but they'll also better position your dice. So some of the things that you can do on your turn, you can spend 3 of your Sungems to do a diversion, which lets you pick up any 3 dice on the board and re-roll them. Like, so I might pick up this one, and the Podmathine, and I'd roll them, and of course they're going to be re-put down. Now, in a digital setting, you don't see the look of horror on people's faces as their dice ends up where they don't want it to be. So when you're playing in person, there's certainly another dimension for it. One of the other actions you can do is sow confusion. So you can spend between 1 and 5 of your Sungems to move any of the dice around. So I can see that there's a few dice here, so I might spend 1 Sungem to move that Podmathine into here. Now, the reason that's going to be bad for those characters is once everyone's had a turn, and everyone gets 2 actions on their turn, if you are with the Podmathine, which is this guy, this represents this giant creature here who's trying to say, you know, stop taking my Sungems. You're going to have to pay that number of Sungems back to the Podmathine as his tentacles grab them back off you.
Oh, that's a meaty plant.
Yeah, a giant, intelligent, Triffid-like plant. If you're not with the Podmathine, you'll be able to collect a number of Sungems equal to the value of the die of the space that you're in. But if I was this green character here, I'm not going to want to do that, because everyone's going to know, well, here's Palautus if I take 5 Sungems at the end of the round. So the other thing you can do is you can take a sneaky one. So I can take a sneaky token, or not all of them, but one of them, and then I would only take 1 Sungem at the end of my turn. That lets me hide a little bit more, but puts me at a disadvantage, because in the next round, no matter where I am, I have to announce what space I'm in by putting that sneaky token back.
So it's a gamble of how much information do you want to reveal about where you are. So if I was up in the 6 as one, say the blue dice, that's a great chance for me to get 6 Sungems. However, that's going to tell everyone that I'm one of those 2 characters. So it's balancing that decision on greed as opposed to staying hidden.
Yeah, and the actions that are available to you are spent actions, which can be paid for with Sungems. And of course, the biggest one we'll get to in a second, but there's another type of action that you can take on your turn, and they're tribal abilities. Tribal abilities are a little bit different in that you don't pay for them using Sungems, you pay for them by giving away information. So the way that works is if, say for instance, we were in this space, we were this florist character here, right? We could use any of these tribal actions. So we could use Floris's tribal action, we could use Tacitus's tribal action, Luftal's tribal action, or Silicus's tribal action, because we're all sharing the same space. So all of those don't cost any Sungems to do, but by doing them, we give away the information that we are in here. So I might choose to use the Silicus ability, which is to take a survivor token, which I can spend on a later turn. Everyone else on the table then knows that one of my dice belongs in this space. Okay? So it's either one, that, or that. So
Remind me, is this a turn-based game? So each player takes one turn to do something?
So it used to be that way. It's still turn-based, but you have the option of doing 2 actions. So you can take one action from the base actions, and one action from the tribal action in any order you would like. So you can take a tribal action first, and a base, or a base then a tribal action, and that allows you to build up a few different combinations. So you might spend one Sungem to move Tundras in, and then you could use Floris's ability to steal a Sungem from another player.
Yep.
So the way that works is quite different.
And then basically once the run has been done, so a run is when everyone's had a run at the Podmathine and positioned themselves. So once everyone's had a turn at positioning their dice with their 2 actions, you then go to the collection phase, and that's where you're collecting the Sungems or paying them if you are with the Podmathine. So that all goes on, and then basically to end a round, there are 2 options. You can either run out of tribe members who are used for defending against the Podmathine, but we probably won't get time to go into that tonight.
Well, they essentially get tangled up in the tentacles and are unable to steal any more Sungems. If that happens and someone runs out of all their tribe members, the game ends, and the person with the most Sungems gets to make an accusation. The other way
is if you've got 10 Sungems and you're pretty confident you've figured out who at least one person is, but the more correct accusations you can make, the better it is. So if you've got 10, you can choose that as your action to make an accusation and say, hey, Jill, I think you're the blue Hydrus.
No, I'm always just Luftals, guys. Luftals.
That's true. That's true.
You do love them.
Yes.
So if you get the first one wrong, the person with the highest Sungems then gets to make an accusation. So I'll make an accusation. I'll say, Jill, I think you're the Luftals.
Oh, that's good.
And so if we were right, then that person would then get to accuse another player. And if they're successful, they get another point, and they continue to go until they get one wrong. Then anyone that was not discovered also gets a point. And then that's the end of the round, and you would play up to 3 rounds.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
Sorry, I've got to finish you guys up.
No, that's all right.
You guys are on collab at the moment, yeah?
We certainly are.
Yeah, that's right. So available to play games.
Yeah. Is there any time that people should be looking for you?
Evenings are best, but over the weekend we'll sort of be on and off around juggling the kids. So come and check us out and send us a message. One of us can normally jump on.
Yep. Yeah,
Awesome.
Always happy to run a game. Whenever people are up for it. And
this is us.
This is us. www.darwin-games.com.au.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, guys. And I can say I thoroughly enjoyed that game when I played it last, and it was a long time ago.
We're glad you remembered it, so that's awesome.
Yeah, a few improvements.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's amazing because you know how much I love your guys' games anyway. So I can't wait to play this one.
Thanks,
we can't wait to play with you guys as well.
Awesome. So we'll leave you guys. Yep. All right. Awesome.
There we go.
Next up, Jill has the primary host ability because you get to do me with Damsel's Tale.
Hi, Alex. Welcome to the stream.
Oh, thanks for having me on the show, Jill.
What have you brought for us today?
So I'm promoting Damsel's Tale. This is the finished production of Damsel's Tale. This is a beautiful box design by my good friend Ben. He put a lot of effort into this. Ooh, sorry, whoops. Oh, you got one right there. Ooh, in shrink wrap. Oh, okay, awesome. We can both do it. Ben put a lot of effort into this box design. It looks like a book. It has a book sleeve that makes it look absolutely stunning. The ribbon, I believe, was your suggestion,
Yes.
which helps open up and get all the pieces out. I have this on Tabletopia, so I'll show you all the pieces in a second. But yeah, this is just a stunning piece to put on any bookshelf or board game shelf. Woo!
Well, the reason why mine's still in shrink wrap, Alex, is because I'm still using the little prototype.
Oh, that's the prototype. Yeah, fair enough. You can keep that one mint. I'm sure it will gain in value.
Just loved how big it got.
go
when it
buy.
arrived, I was like, wow, it just doubled in size.
Yeah, well, you know, everyone likes a good big book, I guess. It's sorry, I'm just trying to stick the sticker back on. Yeah, it did get bigger, but I don't think I had anything to do with how big it got. That was Ben's. But bigger is better, more value. Sure. I'm going to try and share screen. Let's give me a sec. Let's try and share my screen to Tabletop Simulator. Cool. I've had a bit of a problem with Tabletop Simulator and zooming, so you'll have to bear with me. But this is basically the Damsel's Tale. And here I've got it set up with the board. I put in this awesome animated knight here. Check him out.
Oh, he's moving and everything.
Yeah, so does the dragon.
You see, I prefer him to be a little bit more scared though.
Oh yeah, watch this. Ah!
Oh, that's perfect.
And when he moves, he'll move around. It was cool playing around with the magnets on this. But yeah, so basically in the Damsel's Tale, both players have 6 cards. And then they'll draw 4 of these cards, and you basically choose what the best card for this particular time to play is. Each card does something different, and each one has sort of an initiative level. What the knight is trying to do, he's trying to go all the way down this track, follow it all the way along until he gets to the treasure, which is just here. And what the baby dragon is trying to do, you missed the baby dragon there. That's the baby dragon. And that's the mum. Mum has wings. What the baby dragon does, they're trying to stop the knight coming down here by making sure that the mama dragon comes in and sees them. So along this track, there are hidden spaces. And whenever the knight is hiding behind the statue or in the skull or behind these rocks, the mama dragon comes in. She can't see anything. She goes back to the start, and you'll attempt to continue to sneak around, and the baby dragon will keep trying to call the mother dragon in. Originally, this game was based on The Boy That Cries Wolf, so that was sort of the premise of the mama dragon coming in and not seeing anything, and then going back to the start and not believing the baby dragon saw anything. Yeah.
I can't believe you took the wings away from the baby dragon. Poor thing.
It's just, yeah, well, that's.
He looks so wingless and helpless and sad.
It's only little. It unfortunately looks nothing like the dragon on the artwork, and the artwork is one of my favorite things about this game. Also in the tabletop sim, I actually have the special characters programmed in as well. So you can choose to use one of the special characters and just make the normal substitutes in the deck. So the special characters are pretty impressive. They basically, you choose a special character. Each special character comes with a card, which will replace, so this is, card number 10. So basically take out card number 10, and put the new card number 10 in, and you have yourself a whole new deck that does something completely different because of the one card that you've changed. This guy also has a bit of a passive effect. I don't know what that card is. Oh, I got lots of them. Check out that programming. Paul, hey, impressed with that? Each character has a passive effect as well, so it changes the whole dynamic of how you play that character. So usually the knight sort of sneaks around really carefully. If you use chops, you sort of just barrel down, no holds barred, take as many risks as you can. If you're playing Captain Kitten, you're really, really scared. So there's a lot of times you'll run out and you'll run back in straight away. And that's just sort of provoking the mother dragon to come out and just try and make that time that you run out the most opportune moment that you can. But, anyway, as you can see, it's a beautiful game. It's beautiful in the box. All the artwork was all done by the one person, Sinitra, who was a god. And yeah, I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite games that I actually own, and I've played it so many times it isn't funny, and I still just absolutely love it.
And all those characters that you have over there, Alex.
Yep.
Where are they from?
Oh yeah, okay. Good question, Jill. You should be a host. So basically, all these characters and the Damsel's Tale is from a universe that we've created. It's called the Vague World. So Chops Murphy is actually in a game called The Brigade that we made. And Lady Artesia, she's actually been made into a Brigade card as well that just got released with the latest issue of the Campaigner that our other host, Matt, releases every quarter, I think. He'll correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, so is Ivan. So this knight character here, his name's Ivan. He's also in the Brigade. And we've created a whole world. So this is sort of a fun fantasy world. It's very humorous. There's a lot of funny things that go on, and it all started with the Brigade. So this just carried on those stories of some new characters, some old characters. Chops is a very funny guy. He's got a little couple of stories written about him now, but there's stories about all of these characters, individual little 500-word stories about them all.
Very cool, Alex. Got to finish you off now. So if we want to buy the Damsel's Tale, where do we get that from?
Oh yeah, redgenigames.com. It is on sale on the website, and we have most of the pieces in Australia. If you haven't already been sent them, they will be sent soon.
Okay. Well, you can go now.
Thanks. Who's up next? Juan Rizos. Do we have Juan around?
Hello, you can see me now?
We can hear you.
Yep. Oh, you can hear me?
Yep.
Awesome. I don't know why my video is not working, which is very unfortunate, but I think I can still share my screen.
Yeah,
awesome.
Try it.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Can you see it?
It is still loading. There we go. So Juan, you have a game called Production at All Costs. Is that right?
Well, the game is actually called Utilities.
Yes.
I'm still thinking about the name, so it could be that one at some point. But yeah.
Oh, it looks really bright and beautiful the minute you popped it up on the screen.
Oh, thank you. That's the goal. That is something that calls attention on the table, and it's pretty much inspired on my day-by-day work because it's kind of tough. But I just took all the tough out and I just stay with the fun, and I hope I get it. So basically, in utilities, you're gonna control one construction company, and what you are meant to be doing is connecting all the different utilities you can see here, like gas, electricity, water, and internet, to the different places that need it. It could be the supermarket, could be the library, or it could be the lab, right? And the way you do that is by drawing on the board. So you will have a color and you will start drawing, well, not white because white doesn't work. If you're the red player, for example, you will start drawing, and then the action of flipping a tail is excavating. So you will literally flip it, and that's excavate. And then you will find problems along the way, pretty much like in real life. So you can find utilities already there, or you can find some ancient Egyptian things that you need to fix along the way. So basically, you're gonna keep drawing your way, trying to avoid all the problems until you connect, for example, to the lab, and then get the reward, right? At the end of 9 rounds, the player with the most experience points will be the winner. And the way that you get the experience points is completing projects. So for example, in this case, if you get electricity to the bank, that is up here, you will get 10 experience points, right? So apart from working on site, you also have to manage your own company, right? And your company is basically your tableau. It's where you have your crews and where you have your money and when you have your improvement for the company. So the more projects you complete, the better you can get your company to be. So once you complete one project, you can get a second crew, which allows you to go even faster. Or you can install more meters in one turn. Or you can have one labor that is just learning, so it's just gonna copy all the activities that the other do. And then you can have a professional tradee, and then he's gonna be really helpful. The main mechanic of the game is just an action selection. So you will have two possible actions, and it could be install conduits on the ground, but maybe you need some help from the company, or move your supervisor around, because your supervisor is this big guy that is gonna determine where you're working. You're working on electricity, or you're working on gas, or repair some conduits, or go to the market. right? And then as in construction, you have things that they are like completely unexpected. You will have your events, and then when you reveal your events, it could be something good, like this card that is just like, trust me, I'm an engineer and you can do cool things. Or you can have one of my favorite phrases that I learned here in construction when I get to Australia, that is living the dream and gray mate. So there's nothing, no problem. But you can have some bad ones where you have like a drug test, and then you need to see if your company is fit for work or not. And the fun part of the game is actually the player interaction, because I'm gonna show you an example of a test that I had in PAX. And this is how the board is gonna end. So you can see that all the players are trying to install their utilities first, and then you have to start dealing with another players and paying them money to cross your utility and then his utility, and maybe he doesn't wanna, and maybe he costs you money, and that's the meat of the game: the negotiation, the strategy, okay, I'm trying to go to this service and this service, but then you excavate and then you find something on the way that you have to deal with it. And you get to draw a lot of things on the board. So
in real life, this board is erasable whiteboard material, I'm assuming?
Yeah, so what I did is I create these tiles and I print these dots on top, and then I put sellotape around. So then you can use one of these dry markers that you use on the whiteboards and just go and play. And the good thing of being so modular is that you can literally create any shape of city. Like I have created here some example to show you. Like you can literally create the city that you want, as challenging as you want, and yeah, you can look like one of your friends if you want. So it's just about to have fun. Or you can, if this is too complicated, maybe you can go something that is more linear for your first games, and it can be something like a race where all the players start here and then they have to go here.
How many players is it?
2 to 4. And 4 is really chaotic and really fun. And 2, there are 2 modes that you can play. That is either only 2 companies or you control 2 companies. And it depends how you feel. If you feel like a small game or like a big game, because you can actually create a very small. I have here, I think I had still a very small board. Yeah, this one. With few tiles, and it will be a quicker game, so that the people can get to the meat of the game quicker. But yeah, I've been testing it around in DevCon last year in PAX and in conventions here and with friends, and they love the flipping and discovering what could happen, what is here, and dealing around it, because there's a point of a strategy, but there's also a point of like puzzle solving, where you have to find the best route to go around all the services without spending a lot of money. Yeah, that's what I'm working on at the moment.
Okay, I have to say that the thing I loved the most was when you turned over the reward, and it wasn't cash. It was, here's the experience you got for doing a good job.
Yeah, and that's the other fun thing. Like you actually get money too. Like you get cash, but the money is not the main point of the game. Like you can spend a lot of money, but if you get the experience, you're gonna be the winner. That said, if you have the same experience as other company, the money is the tiebreaker. So it matters at the end. And if you run out of money, you're gonna have to get a loan.
I ask for experience.
Yeah, you have to get a loan that is gonna cost you experience too. So
yeah,
that's it.
I don't know if loans really cause you to have less experience. I feel like that can improve your life experience at the end of the day.
Well, definitely
all the stress that comes with loans, you know.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. But yeah, it's still in development, so maybe that can change. Maybe that could be one of the things to improve.
I like that you have these tiles that you reveal them and it shows problems. Mm-hmm. That's really clever. It's a good take on like a draw on the
And they're like different.
Oh, what's that one? The one on the right there, the one that looks like it's a bag. Is that money?
It's a bag of money, but that doesn't happen in real life. I can tell you that.
I'm just honing straight in on the bag of money. I'm like, I want the bag of money.
Yeah, it's actually quite funny because with the art, you can do a lot of things. Like I have one of these tiles that is the the tomb of Dracula. So then when you flip it, it's Dracula sleeping in the coffin, and it takes pretty much all the tile. And it's a real problem because then you have to go all around the tile. Yeah, I don't have it loaded in here, but yeah, it's just fun. Like, people have a good laugh when we play things like this.
Yeah, nice. Now I'm pretty sure you have this in Collaboratory as well, correct?
Yes, correct. It's there ready to be tested, and anytime really during the weekend I will be there. And if not, this is the one. If you're familiar with the Collaboratory or with the incubator in Melbourne, I'm also testing it there pretty much every Wednesday. And yeah, but in Collaboratory, I will be there the whole weekend.
Awesome. Is there a website or a Facebook page for you, Juan?
I have an Instagram account and some posts on Board Game Geek, but basically it's just Telomander Games and telomandergames@gmail.com if you want to contact me. But yeah, the best way will be Instagram probably.
Awesome. We'll let you go and move on to the next person. But thanks a lot. This was a super interesting game.
Thank you for this time.
Thanks, Juan. I really love it. I love any kind of roll and write. I know this is not roll and write, but anything that lets you draw stuff or write stuff, it's great.
You see, you tried to flip the table for us there. We didn't get to do it on the last one. He tried though.
Yes, right. I need to get someone to flip a table.
Well, we will. Okay, Callan, we have you and your amazing last name for someone who plays board games, doing a game called Conspired?
Yep, that's right. So Conspired is it's a small game, so it's a game for 2 to 7 players. In the game, you play as the leader of a conspiracy theory, and your aim is to grow enough followers following along your conspiracy theory that your theory goes mainstream, breaks into the mainstream media.
Awesome. So how many players is this?
So for 2 to 7.
2 to 7. That's a strange player count, having an odd number there at the end.
The main reason I did it was because it fits nicely into a 9x9 grid, because there are 2 extra non-player conspiracy theories. So it was mainly a design thing, but also it works out for the number of players.
Awesome. Well, show us some of the bits.
Okay. So this is just the box, and it gives you your instructions on the back and the different conspiracy theories. But I have it up on Tabletopia, so I can share my screen and show you on that.
Perfect. So I see you've already got a box there. Is this something that's already available to buy?
Yes, it is already available to buy.
Where do we buy it from?
So it's on, so you can either go through my website or you can go straight to, I guess, the place where you can purchase it from, which is the Game Crafter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that box is from Game Crafter.
Yep, that's right.
Oh, beautiful. All right, show us the stuff.
Okay, can you see the screen? So this is the game already set up. So this is for a 4-player game.
Yep.
So it's set up in a grid that's the size of the number of conspiracy theories. So each game will have 2 non-player conspiracy theories involved, and that's just to add extra space, but also to allow for, if you have a bad setup at the start, you can choose to jump ship and change to one of the non-player conspiracy theories. So it removes some of the randomness from the game. And so you start off with your leader tile, whichever leader you choose to be, sorry. And so in this setup, we've got 6 conspiracy theories. So this one is Area 51 is hiding alien life. This one here is fluoridation of the water is turning us into zombies.
Yeah.
This one is Elvis is still alive. This is climate change is a hoax.
Oh, yeah.
This one is a race of alien lizard people is controlling US politics. And this one is that medicine's all in the pockets of Big Pharma. And there's also 3 other conspiracy theories, which is the moon landing was faked. The Earth is flat, obviously. And chemtrails is chemical warfare.
And are you going to add an expansion for masks do not help?
I have been questioned many times this year, but I'll make a 2020 special edition for conspiracy theories because there's quite a few coming around. So that is possibly on the cards. Awesome. And so for the game, also the turn order is randomized to decide the order of the play as well.
Oh, cool. All right. Show us how it works.
So on your turn, you've got an option. You've got 4 different options, which are these ones up here. So you can spread distrust in the mainstream media, which flips over the sheeple, the ordinary people that are in our society, and turns them into followers of conspiracy theories. So in this example, so the yellow going first, so yellow would flip over all the tiles adjacent to their area of influence, which is at the moment just their leader. And so that reveals what conspiracy theories these people first awaken to when they become followers of conspiracy theories. So you won't know what that'll be. That's part of the randomness of the setup of the game.
All right. What
And
do we
then,
have to do?
so your aim is to make a total area of influence of 8. So that means connecting tiles together of your same color. So for example, one of the other moves is you can convert. So you replace one adjacent follower that's adjacent to your leader with one of your own color. So for example, if blue has their turn, they can replace this follower tile here with one of their own color. And effectively that grows their size.
Yeah.
And then the third move is you can infiltrate. So you can move one of your followers into an area that is adjacent to your area of influence, and that allows you to change the situation. So if it's purple's turn, for example, they could infiltrate with these 2 tiles, and then they would connect together their followers. And that allows them to grow their area of influence as well. So this would make an area of influence of 3. And so eventually the board state changes as people flip over more tiles. And then as you convert more tiles as well, and you replace all tiles with the other colors, and then the players kind of overtake the non-player conspiracy theories. And it becomes very close and very tight, and people will be trying to make semi-alliances in order to stop the strongest players from winning in order to keep everyone in the game. And so it becomes a very diplomacy-based game.
So this setup right here, this is for how many players?
This is for 4 players. So there are 4 player conspiracy theories and then 2 non-player conspiracy theories in each game.
Right.
Yeah. So for 7 players, the grid just gets larger. For 2 players, the grid gets smaller.
And the leaders, they were just randomized into the board?
Yes, that's right.
All right.
So
you don't think, has it ever been a disadvantage having someone like the alien in the top corner?
Yes, and that is why your 4th option of the turn is that you can jump ship. So if you really dislike your starting position, you can jump ship to a new location as one of the 2 non-player conspiracy theories.
Oh, could you do that mid-game?
Yes, and people have done that mid-game and then gone on to win from that position as well.
Because that position is way more advantageous because of all the tiles that have already been revealed.
Exactly, and also how other players are positioned around them and like box them into a corner, and this allows their way to escape and then grow from somewhere else.
Ah, that's good, because if someone does feel like overwhelmed, they can, jump ship. That's a very nice mechanic. I like that you can just sort of swap teams.
And then does that mean that the alien, for example, would now be a non-player color and somebody else could jump into an alien? Cool.
That's right. Yeah. And then you also take whichever conspiracy theory you jump to, you just take on their turn order. So the turn order stays the same. And then you could potentially have 2 turns in a row if that's how it sets itself up.
Awesome. So is this tile setup, this is like all the tiles that you get in the game?
Yes.
Okay, so it's like a fixed amount of tiles.
Yeah, but you don't use all of them for like a smaller number. So you'll just have some extra ones on the side.
Yeah, all right. Oh, that's awesome. And does it grow or shrink compared to the player count?
Yes. So for example, a 2-player game would just be a 4x4 grid. So just be this space.
Yep.
And then a 7-player game is a 9x9 grid. So it gets quite massive, but it also means that there are more tiles available on the board.
Yeah.
So the game still doesn't last a longer period of time because you've got more options to get to the things that you're aiming for.
Yeah, awesome. And those actions, do they always stay the same, or are there other actions to put in?
No, there are only those 4 actions. So in terms of like player choice, you've got choice of one of those 4 things to do on your turn. And so it means that the game can run quickly still. So it doesn't feel like it's a long time coming around, even in a 7-player game.
So those tiles, they're just action reminders?
Yes, that's exactly right. They're just information tiles, yeah.
That's a clever little game. I like it. So where do we find this on GameCrafter? We just search for Conspired?
Yeah, just search for Conspired on the GameCrafter. It's also...
What else is called a game called Conspired on there?
Yes, this is the 2010 game of Conspired. It was released this year.
Okay. Awesome. Is there anywhere else we can find you or your games?
Yeah, so it's on BoardGameGeek.com as well for Conspired 2020. And it's also on conspired.weebly.com is the website, and it's on Facebook under Conspired the board game.
Awesome. All
It's
right.
very cool. I think it's got a nice mechanic of, just trying to influence everybody around you to think the same as you. I was just thinking to myself that you missed out on my favorite conspiracy theory.
Which one's that one?
Australia does not exist.
Oh yeah, I was tossing up whether to include that one. It was going to be an actor wearing a kangaroo suit. Maybe I should have put that in.
All right, Callan, we'll leave you there, but thanks a lot. That looks really cool.
Yeah, thanks.
Next up, we have a duo. We have Joel Kennedy and Tom Cox, and they're testing my Japanese, I think. Onikuma. Correct me, Joel.
Yeah, Onikuma, I'm here. Yeah. How you going?
Hey.
Hello.
Hi, Joel.
Hey, Alex.
Hi, Tom.
Hey, Jill.
Hello.
Thanks for having us. How are you?
We're pretty good. But did I say it right?
Onikuma, yeah. So it's actually based on a Japanese folklore myth about a demon bear. So an Onikuma was this mythical creature that would sneak into the village and carry off the livestock in the village. So our game is a card game that plays in about 20 to 30 minutes for 2 to 6 players, and it's all about playing as a family of bears trying to steal food from the village. And if you're lucky, you might be able to turn some of your bears into Onikumas for massive points throughout the game. So
wow, so we're playing the actual bears.
you get to be the bears. So there's, I had to do a lot of research about bears. The idea for this game actually came up, I was watching 72 Dangerous Animals Asia, which was on Netflix, and they talked about Onikuma, and I was like, that sounds like a fun idea for a game. So I kind of explained the concept I had really poorly to Joel, and he helped me develop it, and here we are. So there's 6 different types of bears. I had to do a lot of research on bears. So sun bears, moon bears, brown bears, sloth bears, mountain bears, and panda bears, of course. And over the course of a game, we play 3 rounds. Each round. Oh,
hang on. You're telling me you didn't put drop bears in it?
Expansion content right there.
Just for the Australian market only, that one. Yeah.
No, it's not just the Australian
not
market.
for the Australian market, every other market. Yeah,
exactly. It's the worldwide market because they exist, guys.
Yeah, so basically
Drop bears are real.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's very much a kind of beer and pretzels game. There's lots of chaos, lots of interactions, really built around these big moments that occur throughout the game rather than having too much control. So lots of laughter. Basically, the way it works is that you play 3 rounds, and each round you play all 10 of your cards. So every deck of bears has the same 10 cards. You can see there at the bottom of the screen, you have a 0 through to a 10, and you don't have a 5. And there's a very deliberate reason for that. So the way the game works is each round is made up of 10 cards, and at one at a time, you flip over a food card, essentially, and then each player chooses a bear from their hand that's going to compete for that food card. So, for example, it's a simultaneous play. Everyone chooses a card at once. We then reveal the cards, and whoever played the highest card wins. Pretty standard in that respect. So in this example, a 10 would beat the 7, which would be the 4. So the Panda Bear player would claim the 3 food, and that's worth 3 victory points for them. However, as the game progresses, every time a large bear, so you'll see any bear that is value 6 or higher is considered a large bear, it has a little trapper icon on them. When a large bear captures the food, well, the villagers enlist a trapper to come and protect their food for the next turn. So that kind of changes up the win condition. So on the next turn, a trapper, the default rule with the trapper is that it's going to capture the largest bear that gets played. So then the next turn, you've got to decide, am I going to play high? If I play high, I might get captured. And if the person that played the second highest card might get the food instead, etc., etc. So a lot of double thinking coming in. And then I guess the last twist, there's really only 3 rules in this game. The last rule is the Onikuma rule, after which the game was named. So while there's a trapper in play, if you manage to play a card that is more than twice as big as the next highest card, so a 9 is more than twice as big as a 4, well, your 9 becomes an Onikuma, and an Onikuma claims the food, but also captures the trapper, and you get to add that trapper to your score pile. So it's a big high-risk, high-reward strategy. Obviously, if the orange player had played a 6, well, then the 9 would have got captured because it wouldn't have been an Onikuma. So it's really about reading the other players and knowing, are they going to be cautious or are they going to go for it, and how are you going to try and fit in order to get the food for yourself.
So, different trappers, are there different hunters?
There are. So there's 12 different trappers in the game, and they each have a different ability. The cross-eyed trapper is probably our favorite because it allows you to turn your 1 value, which is ordinarily a very low value card, into an 11. Exactly. So it's very much designed to be a playful, humorous game. A lot of chaos. You know, you might think that you've played a good card only for someone else to sneak in and trump you in some way. So yeah, different trapper abilities will affect the game differently. For example, there's one called the poison trapper, which is actually with negative points. So you really want to avoid accidentally Onikumaing, if that's I don't know if that's a verb or not, but it kind of changes how you're going to approach that turn while that's in play.
So do we know what the trapper is before we go in?
Yeah, absolutely. So after a large bear captures the food, on the next turn, you reveal a trapper, you reveal the new food, and then everyone chooses their cards. Yeah.
Ah, this is good. It really does change the way you sort of play. Like, yeah, that's really interesting. And I mean, it makes you not want to play your high cards or want to play your high cards. So yeah, my friend and I have been playing a game called For Sale a lot on Board Game Arena, and this has a similar vibe, but these trappers are really making it super interesting.
Yeah, so
trappers are our favourite part, I think. We've certainly had a lot of fun coming up with some pretty zany things. Yeah, sort of bringing that tension of play high, play low, and that bluffing element or push your luck elements there. So.
Yeah, we had our last playtester kind of succinctly describe it as like, play high, but don't play too high because you'll get captured. But so play low, but if you play too low, then someone else will play high and they'll get a Onikuma. So it's very much about second guessing and that double think. You have a lot of moments where you put a card down on the table and then change your mind at the last second and play something else. Yeah.
How long does this game go for, you reckon?
Because it's
20 to 30 minutes. Yeah.
That's a good time. Good time for this kind of game. That's really nice.
And you said that you play out all of your cards before you take them back, right?
That's right. Yep.
Yeah. So at some point you could be just stuck because you don't have the right cards to play anymore.
Yeah, that's right. So that's the hand management aspect of the game. You know, each round that you have to play all your cards. So are you going to play your 10 to kind of guarantee some points early in the round, or do you want to hold on to it a bit later and hope that other people leave themselves with small cards so that you might be able to score an Onikuma? So there's a part of the game about keeping track of what you think everyone's still got in their hand. So it really sits best at that 3 to 4 player count where there's just enough players that you kind of have to lose track and it becomes a bit crazy. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that the little 1 card, is that actually a little cub?
Yeah.
Tiny little bears.
Yeah, so we just at the moment using placeholder icons throughout the art for the game. And the bear's getting increasingly big.
Oh, that one was cute.
Can you Onikuma trapper?
Little harmless one.
Yeah, so the Onikuma trapper changes things a little bit, which is only captures Onikumas, not large bears, so we can't actually capture him. So you've got to work out, am I going to play low and accidentally force Joel into getting an Onikuma so his bear gets captured, in which case then I'm in the prime position, that kind of thing.
That's awesome. Now, do you guys have this up on Collab as well?
Yeah, we're going to be demoing it. We've been demoing it this evening and probably all weekend as well.
Fantastic.
So we've got it on Tabletop Sim and Tabletopia.
What are your plans with this game?
Oh, you want to take that one, Joel?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, looking for publication. So yeah, looking down the publisher route at the moment. So yeah,
We've just enrolled in the pitch project, which I'm sure a bunch of people have seen on Facebook, which is opportunity to put together a sell sheet and get it in front of a bunch of publishers. I think we're pretty confident that because it's really light on components, it's literally just 102 cards at the moment. So a small box, small component count, kind of lightweight game. I guess that's where we see it going.
Yeah, awesome. All right, good to know. Where can we find more of your guys' stuff? Because you guys have sort of joined forces and created
Blue Box, yeah.
Blue Box,
so
yeah.
I was operating as Blue or Better Games, and Joe was operating as Box Seat Games. So it seemed natural that we would combine the two. And it's kind of given us a nice position where any prototype that we put together is obviously going to be in a blue box. Nice and easy for us. We don't have to worry too much about that.
And it coincidentally gave us a little mascot of a blue box jellyfish. So, and now we've set ourselves a little challenge of getting a jellyfish into each of our games. So there's actually not one currently in Onikuma, so we need to fix that. But
So one of the
in some of our other
one of the trappers becomes a jellyfish.
Yeah, it might be a bit of a thematic link. I like that. Yeah, if you can come up with something, let us know.
So best way to get hold of us is on
the food
Twitter.
that gets stolen.
Oh yeah, special wild food card, which is a jellyfish.
Yeah,
I could see
okay,
that.
there you go. That's a good one.
Yeah, well, Twitter would be the best place to get hold of us. It's Blue Box Designs, and we're pretty active on that, and would love to connect with people.
Just saying, I used to be called Blue Room Games, so maybe,
Yeah,
something about blue.
There you go.
maybe it could be Blue Box Rooms.
Blue Box Rooms. Yeah.
That sounds. I don't know where we're headed with this.
Yeah, you're ready to get assimilated into the blue room.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We'll let you go, but that's super cool, and look forward to seeing that on Collab.
Yeah, come and play.
Yeah,
thanks very much for your time.
Now, before you go, can you flip the table?
Oh,
I can
absolutely.
do that. There we go.
Thank you, Jill.
Nice.
That
Thanks,
was
guys.
satisfying. Thanks.
Love it. Awesome.
Awesome. Next up, we have Christy Dina with D.I.Y Spy, which I've also played last year at Collab or the year before.
Last year, I'm pretty sure. It's like
And did I see you? No, maybe it wasn't last year. I don't remember. Did I see you around CanCon as well doing it?
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yep. All right, cool. Tell us about D.I.Y Spy, Christy.
Yes, cool. Hey, everybody. I put a live transcription link in case anyone wants a transcription in there. But yeah, so D.I.Y Spy is a comedy cooperative storytelling game in which a comedy improvisational storytelling game in which it's for about 2 to 9 players, and depending on how many players, 20 to 40 minutes for the card game. But I want to talk to you today about the digital version that I've made. But before I do that, I'll give you a bit of quick background, about it. So this would be the version that you're familiar with, Alex, in terms of this version of the card game. And so here we've got like the spies that are here, and here we have gadgets that you go for. We've got rooms that you run to and objects that you find. So the idea with this game is it's a storytelling game, but one of the prompts is that you're grabbing objects from around your house or your office or your backyard. So actual objects.
How did you get this stuff into Tabletop Simulator?
Well, that's the thing. I couldn't because it requires you to actually run around and get stuff from around your house. Like that's a key part of the design. Tabletopia just doesn't work because it's just focusing on the cards. This is a social game, so you actually need to see each other. You need to feel comfortable seeing each other, and you need to be able to, run off and show people, your objects and that when you're playing the game. So yeah, so this game initially started for me from a game jam prompt in which they said make a game in which you have to stand up, and so that's where it came from. But when I was iterating the design, the thing that really drove my design was wanting to recreate that experience of ingenuity in improv and ingenuity of spies, when you're in a situation that you could not prepare for, but you get yourself out of it. And that's what the design is for. So when COVID happened, and everyone is suddenly in this very unusual situation, I suddenly thought, oh, I want to get the game out, because that's the whole principle of dealing with unexpected situations, and doing it in an ingenious way with humor and with community. And so it was like, okay, how am I going to do this? So I started off with PowerPoints. I created a chatbot as well, created a chatbot version, but because people could play in teams and things, I needed to come up with something for that. So a lot of the iteration of the design was about how can I have team play online with people seeing each other without funding, a networked app. So yeah, so that was the iteration of the design. So I'll bring it up now then. I'm going to share screen.
So when we played this, and I'm not very good at these sort of games because I'm not a good role player or anything like that, but you sort of have to work your way out of the situation or into the situation using your storytelling abilities and inventiveness.
Yeah, so it's actually light on role play, and the online version I've had to take out the character selection because of the logistics of when I show players things on the screen and when I don't. So because it's improv, the initial designs had progressions and scoring, but that's counter to the spirit of improv, which is that you lean on each other, you're not competing with each other, you're just going with your first thoughts, you're not doing strategy, you're just going wild. But I still needed difficulty. So that's where the difficulty is, that you're given prompts, you're given missions and you're given gadgets that you need to use on that mission. The gadget and the mission never match, right? So you've got these two incongruous situations. And then on top of that, you didn't bring the gadget with you. There's a storytelling thing at the beginning. You didn't bring the gadget with you. So you're going to have to make it. You're going to have to make that gadget with whatever you've got around your house. And so that's that other layer of difficulty, is you have to find objects that would conceivably make that. And then you have to come up with a story of how you got out of that, how you made that gadget and how you got out of that situation. So I'll show you. So this is website DIYspygame.com, and on the remote play link there, it basically takes you to it. So it's live now. But the only thing it doesn't have at the moment is all of the new art images. So at the moment, I'll just be showing you text. But as I showed you before, the actual card game has images. Yep. So if we skip to the randomizer, I'll show you just what the main sort of call loop sort of looks like here. So we've got our 3 mission stages: enter mission, retrieve mission, or leave mission. And so each individual player takes one of these, or if they're in groups, you get together in a group, and that group takes the enter mission, the group takes the retrieve mission. Yeah, so that's why it can scale to 9. I've actually had 18 drunk people play this, but yeah, let's be proper, and especially online, I'm capping it at 9.
Is alcohol recommended or not?
Say it again.
Is alcohol recommended or not?
yeah, it totally works. It can work as a family game. I've had kids playing it and they go nuts, with their parents sort of reading out the cards and things like that. But I am spending all my testing time and I'm framing it as more of a party game. But yeah, it has that overlap.
You've only got a couple of minutes, so you better make it really fast.
Okay, so retrieve. Okay, let's go into the retrieve mission. And so here we've got 3 options of what we can where we can retrieve the item through. So it's buried somewhere, it's in a beehive, or it's tied to a conveyor belt. So what would you like to choose?
A beehive, definitely, right, Jill?
In a beehive, yeah. Okay, now the item that we're retrieving is a location detector that keeps announcing where it is. So every time you pick it up, it says, "I'm now being moved out of the secret room. I'm now over here." You know, so it's announcing everything you're doing. Okay, and now we need to choose a gadget to basically retrieve that item. So we have a listening device, a wind machine, or a lie detector.
You go, Jill.
Lie detector. Lie detector. So as you can see, they don't help us. It does not help us at all. Okay. So then you're prompted to go to a room which we've queued earlier. Like you run to the kitchen and you get 3 objects to make a lie detector. You come back and you tell the story about how you retrieve the location detector from the beehive with a lie detector that you made from those objects. And there are whoopsies, there are interruptions that happen there and all of that around it. But yeah, so that's available online now to play with, and that gives me a chance to test with different combinations and that as well.
Fantastic. All right, and you're doing this on the collab?
No, I didn't send it into collab this year, but yeah, it's available.
All right.
I'm still stuck for how to actually resolve that situation, and that's going to be sitting with me for a second now. So
yeah, there are ending points. There's a spy boss at the end, and there's a debrief at the end. But yeah, I'll leave you hanging. You can check it out online.
Thanks, Christy.
Thanks for your time, everybody.
See ya.
See ya.
Next up is Steve D, and we've got one more after this, so stay tuned. Steve D is going to run us a little bit through Relics, a game of Angels role-playing game.
That's right. I imagine I'm probably one of the only RPGs you've had tonight.
Oh no, we had Ardent Rolepllaying earlier.
Oh,
not really an
fantastic.
RPG, but
Yeah, excellent.
I'd say Chris orders on role-playing too.
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely a lot of hybrids going along. I've been talking about Relics, I think for like the last 3 or 4 PAXs, but we're now sort of at the end of
Relics.
Yeah. I'm now at the end of the process though. We have a shiny rulebook, right? I finally got it all. The Kickstarter's been fulfilled. I have this beautiful hardcover book with some incredibly gorgeous art all the way through it.
Fantastic.
So mostly that's what I'm here to show off, that we have the finished products, that all our Kickstarter's backed, and the beautiful tarot deck as well. Which, yeah, you need to play the game. We can play with any tarot deck, but we have this beautiful deck which has all this art from the game, and some of the Kickstarter backers are in there, and some of our artists likes to draw famous characters from fiction, so we have a few familiar faces that you might spot, depending, let's see if you can recognize some of these, and some of the gamers that you might know from, you know, around Australia. So yeah, basically what's really exciting is that it's finally out. It's now in shops around the world as well. So we've got international distribution. Yeah, so.
Tell us how the tarot deck interacts with your RPG.
Yeah, so instead of dice, we use cards basically. So whenever you're trying to perform a test, you shuffle the deck, you draw a card, and you're looking at the value of the card. If it's a 1 to 6, it's a failure. If it's a 7 to 10, it's a grudging success. And if it's a court card, so the page, knight, queen, or king, it's a full success. But there's also some other tweaks. If you draw your, every angel has a signifier, which is their card in the major arcana. So if you draw something like that and it happens to be your card, then you actually gain a new power because you're slowly recovering your powers that you've lost over ancient millennia on Earth. And also you have a certain, angels have a particular gift for certain aspects depending on what character type they choose. So there's angels that are really good at destruction, and if they are destroying something and pick the suit of swords, then they succeed as well. So you've got all these little options like that, and that's just the base test. For more complicated things like combat and things, you can also play, we have rules for playing basically blackjack. So the dealer, which is what we call the GM in Relics, deals out a hand of blackjack to himself and one to you. And yeah, you have to try and beat the hand that the dealer has to succeed.
That's super interesting. A little bit of gambling in there to try and beat the GM.
Yeah, yeah. And you have a lot of tension because the cards sort of come out one by one, so you can sort of see what's going on, and you can also decide, well, I'm close to winning, but maybe I should hit to get a better success.
Yeah.
And it really builds up the tension. And I find people get very very invested with a card deck because it's a bit more, I don't know, it's a bit more physical than a die roll. Die roll sort of just seems like, oh, it just happens. But then you're like, hang on. I want people like insist on shuffling the deck, and they want to be the one who draws it out. And it's yeah, that's a lot of drama to the game.
I'm all about the story, Steve. So tell us a little bit about the world of Relics.
Yeah, so the subtitle is a game of angels, and that is who you play. You play fallen angels. You're not sinful in any sense. You've just left heaven to come to earth. Aeons ago, God created the universe, and the angels were in charge of it. But when angels first tried to interact with humans, there was disaster and division. So God ruled that angels could no longer interfere. And some angels disagree with that. Some of them disagreed so much that they wanted to rule the world, and they became the demons. And other angels just wanted to try and protect the world from these demons and conduct their own kind of experiments in a more subtle way and fight demons in a covert nature. So they've come to Earth over the thousands of years and mixed in with human history. And those are the characters that you play. You've been on Earth for hundreds, maybe thousands of years. And just recently, though, God has gone, disappeared from heaven. The gates of heaven have been shut, and all the fallen angels and fallen demons are now trapped on Earth, trying to find out what's going on, why God has left, and whether there is any reason to keep fighting now that the God has left them, abandoned creation with them on there. So you've got alliances and battles. You've got ancient history, and we've got this unique mechanic where, because you've been on Earth for thousands of years, your skill list is basically based on flashbacks. So instead of having a list of everything you know, if there's a time where you need a skill, you can flash back to some point of your life, hundreds, maybe thousands of years ago, where you acquired that skill. And this is done collaboratively around the table. So you angels have all met each other through many, many generations previously. If you saw the recent thing on Netflix, The Old Guard, it's got a lot of that kind of feel where you've just been around forever. And, you know, you met each other back in revolutionary France, and you met each other back in the Stone Age, and you were there with the Vikings, and you get to do all this amazing backstory sharing. Because not only were you there, but someone else, at least someone else at the table had to be there as well. So you've all met each other over the past, and that actually leads to building up these amazing kind of interactions and backstories where it's like, because you share narration as well. So someone can say, well, I saw you when you were with the Vikings and you left me to hang. And someone else can say, well, no, I made that choice for a reason, and here's why. And, that builds this amazing kind of, almost competitive kind of storytelling, which is great.
So instead of them holding a grudge for a millennia.
Yes, yeah. There's a lot of that kind of thing going on where you can say, look, you do have this bits where you go, you have these ancient grudges, and you discover things and secrets. Like, you can also have new grudges where you go, wait a minute, hang on, you're telling me that the thing I believed about you isn't true, because you have a kind of unreliable narrator going on, because you can find out, someone who you think is your best friend, that 1,000 years ago they betrayed you, and so you have to kind of adjust your relationship very quickly.
Okay, very cool. And I did watch The Old Guard, and I loved it. But this is The Old Guard with superpowers.
Effectively, yes. Not only can you can die. You're a bit less immortal than they are, but you can take a lot of beating. And some of the angels are quite tough. You can think of that. We have these angels called the Behemoth, and they are effectively that for one attack they can shake off all the damage. So you can imagine, that the Old Guard were basically a Relics group. With very specific powers. But yes, you have the relics of the title is magic objects. Angels, every angel has their celestial powers basically coalesced into an object that is also their connection to heaven. And when they first fell to earth, those things went dull. They basically lost their powers. But when the gates of heaven closed, those powers began to open up again. And so all this magic is now flowing back into the world, and it's become this incredible fight. So yeah, it's the Old Guard is a great example, but you've also got things like, we've had a lot of angel stories recently. There was Warrior Nun on Netflix as well. You've got the Good Omens series with the flashbacks and everything, perfect for that. There's the one about with Harry, what was the one with Daniel Radcliffe called Miracle Workers.
So obviously with Good Omens, that's an angel and a devil working together, kind of being best friends. Does that happen in Relics at all?
We allow for the possibility. There's certainly a reason why they distrust each other, but the game is full of secrets, and there's certainly a lot of reasons for you to go, well, hang on. Most of the demons are like the ones that Crowley also dislikes, but you might easily find some demons that you want to team up with, especially now that God is gone and things have changed. There's certainly a lot of angels who are less than angelic and who believe that, well, if God's gone, then now it's their turn to take over, and they might have a very different view. They might be the kind of angel that wants to, redo the flood and drown all humanity and start from scratch or something like that. So you've definitely got a lot of options for making alliances across the boundary there. So yeah.
Devastating. All right, Steve, where can we buy Relics from?
You should be able to get it in. Aetherworks is doing the distribution in Australia, and they'll be getting it into game stores around Australia. You can also get it from Indie Press Revolutions, or you can contact us directly. We are Tin Star Games pretty much everywhere. That's TIN like the metal, STARGAMES, and that's the Twitter, that's the Facebook, that's the Instagram, and tinstargames.com is the website. So yeah,
awesome.
Grab us on there and find it in your local stores.
That's amazing. Thanks a lot. That's super intriguing too. So yeah, look up Relics, and we'll leave you, and we'll go on to our lucky last person, Kenny.
Thanks, Steve.
Night, guys.
Hi, Alex. Hi, Jill.
Hey, how
Hi,
are
Kenny.
Not too bad. How are you both?
Yeah, pretty good.
That's good to hear.
You are our lucky last one, and you're going to tell us about Scrap.
That's exactly right.
Letters, an asymmetrical game.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So Scrap kind of follows in the vein of a lot of area control and 4X games. So a lot of the inspirations for it come from games like Blood Rage or Cthulhu Wars, where you've got asymmetric factions and super awesome powers. I can show you guys if you'd like. So I've got it open up on Tabletop Simulator, if that would be best.
Yeah, absolutely.
Open it up. So just a disclaimer, none of the art here is finalized at the moment. Of course, a lot of it is borrowed from various places on the internet. So I lay no claim to anything here. But this is what, at the moment, the game looks like. So it sets up on a hex grid. You've got your different factions around the board. There are 4 factions at the moment, and all of the factions bring different things into the game. So a big thing that I've been really trying to emphasize in the game is a real focus on interaction. I think that in some games, there tends to be this focus on non-interaction, if that makes sense. So kind of sitting in the corner, doing your own thing. The person who wins is actually the player who doesn't interact with anyone else. So a lot of the mechanisms in Scrap are revolved around rewarding player interaction.
Ah.
I have to talk to people.
Yeah, exactly. Talk to people, go and interact with them, go see what they're about. That's what a lot of the game is about.
This looks like a huge game.
It is a huge game. So it's much more in the vein of something. Look, I'm not going to say it's a Twilight Imperium or anything like that. It's not a 6-7 hour affair. The aim for it at the moment is to be 2.5. So it's reasonably involved. There are a lot of moving parts. There are buildings. There are unique research cards. The factions are all asymmetric in some capacity. There are cool treasures that you can find on the map. There is a lot going on in the game.
Let's start with some factions. What are the factions in this?
Yeah, sure. So I'll go around the table just from here. So the factions, importantly, are quirky robots. So the theme is supposed to be relatively light. They're not serious robots. They're actually robots that have gained sentience through an event called the Spark, and it's messed them up in some way. So here we've got Tachyon. Their whole deal is they like to go really fast. So normally in the game, you can take a major and a minor action each turn, but these guys can take 2 major actions at a cost. So I'll just point you to the two abilities in the middle, so Hyperdrive and Burnout. Don't worry too much about exactly what they do, but they kind of showcase something important in the game. So in a lot of games, you'll get factions that are good at one thing and bad at something else. So for example, you'll get a scientist faction who's really good at science, but they suck at combat. For me, that's not that interesting, because when you play that faction, you're just going to do science.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to ignore combat and all that. So all of the factions here have a strength which is directly tied to their weakness. So for example, Tachyon really likes to go fast, but whenever they do go fast, they're losing resources. So you can't really just use your strength and ignore your weakness, if that makes sense. Tachyon's whole flavor is they were just robots that were delivery bots. When the spark happened, they actually broke light speed and saw the future. And in the future, their planet was ruled by mankind. So now they're trying to stop that and prevent mankind from coming into power. So that's their whole shtick. I'll go around to a couple of the other ones real quickly.
You just remember you've only got 10 minutes.
Yeah, I know, that's all good. I'm going to be super quick. So you've got Forge. Forge's whole shtick is they like building things, but they also like destroying their buildings for bonus effects. You've got Cerebrum. So these guys over here, they really like interacting with other factions to learn about them and learn their technologies, but they're really bad at doing technologies themselves. So they're not very creative. And the last one, you've got Meteor. So Meteor are the rock and roll robots. They love dancing into battle, and they're really strong and they have some interesting potentials that they can do, but it actually costs them more energy to kind of groove into battle. So they have to be very careful about how they manage that. A big thing, another unique thing about the game is, as I said, each faction kind of has a unique research deck. But unlike a lot of games where you'll have, this faction, this is this faction's research deck and that's it, you actually throughout the game will draw from other players' research decks. So as you go around and interact with them and see what they do, you'll draw from them. And so you'll be able to learn their techniques as well.
Now, whenever I play games like this, whether it's like Gaia Project or whatever it is, it's got a tech tree. I'm all about that tech tree. So you know that that's a really good strength and weakness, because that just made me go, ooh, and then damn it.
Yeah, exactly. So as I said, a lot of the kind of, the DNA of this game comes from games like Blood Rage, where you want to really get those powerful and unique combinations. So getting off cool combos and piecing together these nice engines where you get to do cool stuff is really what this game is supposed to be about. We're still getting there, of course. There's still a lot of play testing and work to be done, but that is definitely what I'm aiming at.
Super interesting. Yeah, I love things that are like a super beneficial and then have a negative trait as well.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoy that in games, because it does really make you consider what you can and can't do, and other people can exploit that for you.
Exactly. That's exactly right. So there's a big thing with Meteor specifically where they're so good at combat. Like their ability for combat is really strong, but because it costs them more energy, there are actually moments where they're really weak in combat. So people really need to watch out for them and take advantage of those moments.
Yeah.
What are the other parts of this 4X game here? What's the exploring?
Yeah. Okay, so the exploring at the moment is you'll see that there's obviously this hex grid with lots of tiles face down at the moment. The way it works at the moment is you draw them from the bag and put them on. This is just a temporary board. But you'll see here that there's a tile with a specific background, and it comes with some scavenge tokens. So the planet that the robots are on is actually an ancient planet that used to be occupied by other bots. And so you've awakened and you're going around and scavenging all of this ancient technology and finding cool things. So part of the game as well is you'll go around where these scavenge tokens are, you'll pick them up, and over, not that side, this side over here, there's a deck of cards, and you'll flip it over and get a reward of some kind. So you never know quite what you're going to get, but you dig up things and there's some benefit that you'll get. You could find scrap, which is the main resource, or you could find technologies, or you can find other secret cool stuff, like more unique robots. That you might add in. So that's kind of the Blood Rage or Cthulhu Wars DNA, where you get cool monsters and that kind of thing.
So what's your plan for this game? Are you going to produce hundreds of minis for it?
So funnily enough, I actually hate the Kickstarter model of minis, right? So a big deal with, I think, a lot of games is minis drive up the price of the game. They're also really expensive to produce. So obviously, if I'm producing this myself, I don't have that kind of capital. And I also think that if you're not into painting, minis can actually make the game look a bit drab.
Yeah.
So my intention was actually to get really nice art and put it onto standees rather than doing minis. Minis are like a possibility, but that's not what the game was made for. Standees is where it's going to be at the moment.
Well, something like Gloomhaven, I think, only had 4 minis to start with, and the rest was standee. Oh, sorry, 6. And the rest was standees, which is maybe that's an option for you.
Yeah, exactly. So I considered each faction kind of has a big boss robot. So it's possible I could make them a mini to make them stand out a bit more, and then just have the regular bots be standees.
Yeah.
Funny enough, I know I'm running out of time, so I'm just going to cover this very quickly. But you mentioned Gloomhaven, which I love. The combat is actually quite inspired by Gloomhaven. So you've got a top and a bottom bit. You'll play 2 cards and resolve the top of one and the bottom of the other during combat. So there's lots of kind of interesting combinations you can try and pull off.
Fantastic. That's the most frustrating and best part about that game.
It's lovely. Isn't it a delight?
No, it's the best part about that game for me. I love the combat system in Gloomhaven.
It's what makes it. It's such a good mechanism. And that's why I've borrowed it here.
Yep. Oh, it's not the only game to have done that, but yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Looks super interesting. It is huge. So I imagine explaining all the rules and stuff takes a while. So when you demo this, are you demoing this on Collab?
So I'm not demoing it on Collab at the moment. I saw the opportunity here to showcase it. At the moment, I'm just doing private playtesting. I'm looking to open some public playtesting soon for it. It's nowhere near finished. It's still very early in its development, and I want to make sure I get it right. So you have a balanced game that it really has staying power. I mean, that's everyone's dream, of course.
How do people contact you to try and get a game in?
Well, they can contact me on Facebook. I can put up some details. You could email me if you'd like. I'll have to get the word out there a little bit more once I've got the public play testing open.
In the chat for us just before we finish, and put the chat up.
Easy, no worries. I can do that. Let me just stop sharing my screen for a second.
Yeah.
And I will find it there. At the moment, I'm privately messaging someone, but I will pop just my email. So this is the email that I normally check the most frequently.
Perfect. All right. Thanks a lot, Kenny. We'll wrap it up here.
Yeah.
Just want to give a big shout out to Jill for joining me on this emotional journey through these games, and remind everyone that we are up tomorrow night at the same time with a whole bunch of other games and more people. So please tune back in for that, and we'll have this video up very soon. Also big thanks to Matt. Anything you want to say, Jill?
Yeah. Thanks, Matt, for running everything in the background and keeping Alex on time. And yeah, tune back in tomorrow so we can go through so many more games.
Yeah, looking forward to tomorrow. All right, guys, we will end it there, and thanks all for coming.